cancer. We're out of time on baseball tonight. For Harold Reynolds and John Kruk, I'm Carl Ravitch. So long, everybody. And don't forget our Sunday night game. It is at Shea. Cubs and the Mets, available in high definition, presented by Phillips. John Miller is there, and as you know, so is Joe Morgan. Enjoy it.
Now in our 16th season as our national pastimes game of the week. This is ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Two teams, each in search of the wild card. As the Cubs' Derek Lee continues his trek for the Triple Crown, Chicago has a recharted course towards the playoffs with the return of Nomar Garciaparra and Kerry Wood. Meanwhile, the Mets' future looks bright. Youngsters David Wright and Jose Reyes are maturing into cornerstones for the franchise. New York has been hovering around 500 all year. Now, are the big names ready for a playoff quarter? On Friday night, the Mets knocked out 14 hits, all singles, and capitalized on a big 6-run second-inning rally. Tom Glavine did the rest. He gave the Mets bullpen a much-needed rest and cruised to his career victory number 270. The Mets won it 9-5. Saturday afternoon, Jose Reyes showed more of his exciting game. He tagged up from first on a fly ball to center, then moments later stole third and then scored a run. That was all spot starter Jay So needed. He pitched 7 1/3, scoreless innings, leading the Mets to a 2-0 shutout of the Cubs. Similar records, same goal. Only one wild card spot available. Now is the time to go claim it.
Welcome to Shea Stadium. Teams you love. Yeah, Sunday night time. Yeah, it's my time. Big city, bright lights above. We're getting ready for the game time. It's the right time on ESPN.
It is a beautiful night in the big city of New York. And it is Chicago versus New York. It may not be a wild night in the city, although the evening is young. Who knows? But it is definitely a wild card kind of a night. But the Cubs and Mets going head-to-head. It's Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. And the crowd is gathering on Pedro Martinez bobblehead doll night here at Shea as the Chicago Cubs and the New York Mets battle. Both of them involved in that wild card race. One a little bit more than the other. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. And welcome back, Joe.
Glad to be back.
All right, nice to see you. Now, we've got the all-Zambrano matchup here tonight in terms of pitching. And we got the Cubs. They have two guys who are having among the best years of any players in all of baseball. Derek Lee's got a shot at the Triple Crown still, and Aramis Ramirez. And now they've got the slugger, the all-star batting champion, Nomar Garciaparra, back from the disabled list.
Well, John, I think you have to be careful about your expectations for Nomar Garciaparra. I think the first couple of weeks, adrenaline will take him through, and he'll be able to do pretty well, although he went 0 for 4 Friday night. But the real problem is going to be his timing in the field, running the bases, thinking how to make defensive plays, and also his timing at bat. So I think you're going to have to wait a while before they get the real Garciaparra back.
All right. Nonetheless, the Cubs have been struggling to score runs big time lately. Now the Mets, they struggled at times. They've got some big names though. Mike Piazza, he's been coming on lately. The slugger Cliff Floyd having a big year. Also Carlos Beltran, the big free agent. But the guy you think about right now with the Mets more than anybody else, the two guys, really two young guys, Jose Reyes, the exciting shortstop, and David Wright.
Well, you're right, John. Carlos Beltran has not had the 10 days he had last year. He hasn't had a hot stretch yet, although he's starting to swing the bat better. But I think if you're Willie Randolph, the happiest you can be is for these two young players. Jose Reyes, who also has a 19-game hitting streak. This guy has really progressed far beyond where you thought he would. I thought he was set back a little bit last year because he had to play second base. And the other guy is David Wright. These two guys have formed a nucleus that's going to be here for a long time for the Mets. David Wright has now moved up into the 5th slot, an RBI position. He's hitting in a more important position, and I think they bring a lot of enthusiasm to this ball club.
All right, so it's the Mets-Cubs, Zambrano versus Zambrano. Sam Ryan is here with us, and when we come back, Sam will have the background on the all-Zambrano pitching matchup. The Mets' Victor Zambrano is all warmed up, ready to go in the first pitch of this game. Coming up.
Man, this thing is smunchy. Smunchy? Soft, melty, crunchy. It's smunchy.
I'm thinking Graffelti. Crunchy, soft, melty.
No, it's more of a crunchy, chewy, cheesy. Crunch-chewy.
Nice.
I know. Knuckle me. Thank you.
Nice. Oh, okay. I'll just...
Taco Bell's Cheesy Gordita Crunch. Warm flatbread covered in 3 melted cheeses, wrapped around a crunchy taco and topped with a zesty pepper jack sauce. It's a textural taste sensation. To get crunchy, chewy, and cheesy, think outside the bun.
A rainy day is my chance to be home. Be a fan. Be a kid. Be lazy. Problem is, there are no rainy days. My life is about never settling. That's why my card is American Express.
Mother Nature can be harsh on your car. That's why there's Rain-X. From windshield treatment to wax, everything you need to weatherproof your vehicle.
Dickies workwear stays true to its roots. Then, now, and far into the future. Dickies, a legend in work.
Your SUV is designed to go off-road, but sometimes the off-road comes to you. Introducing the new Goodyear Forterra with silent armor technology, made with SUV drivers in mind. A layer made with Kevlar means the Forterra is tough and rugged, and extra cushioning means the Forterra rides quietly and comfortably. The new Goodyear Forterra with silent armor technology. Go confidently on the wings of Goodyear.
The work week may be 40 hours, but the weekend's 48. Easy drinking Busch Light. Busch. Head for the mountains of Busch.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And in part by Roadway Express, where the reliability of your shipment is always key.
Shea Stadium, New York, and it's a beautiful night for a ball game here. Temperatures right around 80 degrees, some humidity. The Cubs and the Mets. Dusty Baker's Chicago Cubs hurting for a victory. They've lost 4 in a row. Cubs in the middle of the National League in runs scored and also in pitching, which is about where their record is. And they're a little bit under 500 since the All-Star break. Currently 4th in the Central Division, but not even a possibility in that division. They're so far behind the Cardinals. The Cubs Taco Bell batting order, that will be Matt Lawton leading it off. In left field, just acquired from the Pirates before the trading deadline. Neifi Perez at second base. He played short in the long absence of Garcia Parra. Derek Lee at first base having a great year. Aramis Ramirez, the cleanup hitter, also having an outstanding year. Nomar, who was slumping when he got hurt way back when, in his second game upon his return. Todd Hollandsworth in right field. It'll be Michael Barrett, the catcher. He's been tough in the clutch. Jose Macias in center field with Patterson back in the minors. And Carlos Zambrano, he's an excellent hitting pitcher. And on the mound for the Mets is the right-hander, Victor Zambrano, trying to come back from maybe his worst start ever.
Yeah, not a good outing his last time up. But his big problem has been, as most pitchers have, and that is consistency. And, you know, when anytime he's throwing strikes, he has success. But that's, in most cases, most young pitchers are like that. You throw strikes, you have success because they have good stuff. But he has not been consistent, and he'll try to be more consistent tonight. That's what got him in trouble in his last outing.
So here's Victor Zambrano. First pitch of the game to Matt Lawton, and that is too low for ball 1. We are underway. The All Zambranos, first time the two of them have ever faced each other. They are not related. They're both from Venezuela. In left field, Clifford Floyd. One away.
And
Sam Ryan is here with us on the all-Zambrano matchup. Sam.
Well, John, you were mentioning the Zambranos are not related. They share much more than their last name. They're wearing the same number 38. You mentioned they both grew up in Venezuela, about an hour away from each other. Each Zambrano with 42 career wins. Now, Carlos Zambrano told me he first met Victor when they played winter ball together in '98. He said anytime there's another Zambrano playing ball, you got to find out if you're related. So he asked his dad, he asked his aunt and uncle. No relationship whatsoever, gentlemen.
All right, so there you have it. Carlos Zambrano, 24 years old, only 5 years in the big leagues, 42 wins. And Victor Zambrano, 30 years old with 42 wins. So they have traveled different routes by quite a margin to get where they are today. Carlos Zambrano has emerged as one of the premier pitchers in the National League, and he's been the outstanding pitcher in this Cubs staff the last 2 years, on a staff that includes Greg Maddux, headed to the Hall of Fame, and Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor. 2-1 now to Nathan Perez. 79 degrees, the official game time temperature tonight at Shea, and it's a little bit humid. And a high pop-up. Shallow left field. Floyd going out, but there's Reyes. Can't hold it.
Well, Reyes had a good angle on the ball, and I actually thought he was going to make the play, but he goes a long way for this ball. You can see how far he's going. Now he realizes that Wright is there, and I think he tried to avoid the collision. So he starts to run away from him right there, and I think he took his eyes off the ball for a moment. That was no play. That was a long run.
2-2 the count to Nathan Perez. And another pop-up foul. That'll go back out of play.
Well, the one thing I'm noticing from Zambrano is both of the left-handed hitters have gone the other way and fought the ball off. Neither one of them are pull hitters, but both of them seem to be a little tardy on his fastball.
Well, he's always been tough to hit, especially for right-handed hitters, but lefties have never threatened to win batting titles against Victor Zambrano, but he's always been wild. 2 years ago, when he was with Tampa Bay, he became the third pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball to lead the league in walks, wild pitches, and hit batsmen in the same season. So that's what he's more noted for.
Good slider.
He's a little bit wild at times.
Yeah. But like you said, he's got good stuff. It's just about being consistent. When you walk that many guys, you put yourself in the stretch that often, and that leads to inconsistency.
2-2 the count. 1 out, nobody on. Derek Lee on deck. And he changed up on him. Still 2-2. Victor Zambrano, who is from Los Teques, Venezuela, lives down in Valencia, Venezuela. And he actually started his professional career in the Yankees organization as a shortstop. The Devil Rays signed him after he'd been with the Yankees for a couple of years and made him a pitcher. There's Derek Lee on deck. Coming into play today, Lee actually was no longer leading the league in batting average. Most of the year, he'd been way ahead of everybody in batting average, but Miguel Cabrera passed him yesterday. And that is out number 2 as Cairo throws out Perez.
Well, let's take a look at the Mets defensively. There you see Mike Cameron in right field. He's won several Gold Gloves. He was a center fielder till they acquired Beltran. And there you see he all played so many games in center field. Now it's his 136th game in right field.
And there's ball 1 to Derek Lee. The Mets have done well with the big 1-2 combination of Lee and Ramirez in this series. And right now, if you shut these guys down, you pretty well shut down the Cubs. Nice pickup by Wright. He got it. Three up and 3 down for Victor Zambrano. In a moment, Carlos Zambrano.
Y'all ready for this?
Sweet picture. It's a plasma.
Yeah, it's Adele. Hey, have a seat. Make yourself at home, okay?
That's a nice plasma.
The Dell Plasma TV. At this price, you can hug your own. Right now, order the award-winning 42-inch HD Dell Plasma TV for just $27.99. Plus, get free shipping. And right now, pay no interest until 2007 for well-qualified customers. Just call or go online now to get more out of now.
9 years ago, I started a home business. Over $2 million later, I think I made the right decision.
If you're thinking of starting a home business of your own, this website is the one you really need to visit.
Last year, I earned well over $150,000, and this year looks even better.
I only work 3 days a week, and I'm up to $4,000 a month.
Yesterday, we earned over $8,000.
Log on to 78biz.com and get started today. It's free, so log on to 78biz.com. That's 78biz.com.
Coming up this week on Quite Frankly, Stephen A. Smith takes on the hottest topics from 5 great shows. Baseball's most interesting player, golf's greatest, the high-priced world of NFL agents, Kobe and Phil together again. Plus, Lance Armstrong, a debate. Was his 7th Tour de France win the greatest achievement in sports?
Quite frankly, you know what I think.
Quite Frankly with Stephen A. Smith. Weeknights at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2.
Cubs nothing, and the Mets are coming to bat now at Shea Stadium, New York. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, Sunday Night Baseball from New York. And there's Willie Randolph, number 12, and his bench coach, Sandy Alomar Sr., the Mets Taco Bell batting order. Jose Reyes at shortstop, one of the most exciting leadoff men of the game. Miguel Cairo, second base. Carlos Beltran in center field. He's been coming on with the bat lately. Cliff Floyd, 25 big flies this year in left. David Wright, first full year in the big leagues, having a fine season. It'll be Cameron in right field. Mike Piazza, and those numbers for a 37-year-old catcher to be not bad. Marlon Anderson at first base with Minkevich hurting, and Victor Zambrano, the pitcher, hitting ninth, all up against the big, burly right-hander with great stuff, Carlos Zambrano.
And you're talking about a big fellow with great stuff, John, a great sinking fastball, good slider, and he changed speed on the slider now. You know, when they talk about the Cubs, they're always talking about Pryor and Wood. This guy is as good as both of them, and he stays healthy all the time.
Along the left field line. That could be trouble. It is caught out there by Matt Lawton.
Luckily, that's caught, because that's an easy triple for Reyes. Nice play there by Lawton. They had him positioned perfectly, though. He's shading down the left field line. As you can see, he's not even in the picture over here. And there he goes. He does a good job of getting to the ball. Good speed showed there by Lawton.
So Reyes is out, and here is Cairo. Miguel Cairo with one out, nobody on, facing Carlos Zambrano, hitting .274, 2 homers, 12 batted in.
John, Cairo's one of those guys that just fits well, you know, on a team that's playing well. He does a lot of little things to help you win. He knows how to play the game. You know, I thought he was a big part of the Yankees' success, you know, before, but I think he'll be a big part of this team's success as well.
2-1 the count now to Cairo with Beltran on deck. Cairo was out for a while with a bad hamstring, and the fans here were not happy about that because they were down on Matsui, who had been moved to second base this year. Now Matsui is injured. For a while, both of them were out. Now Cairo's back. Matsui not back just yet. He could be back soon, though. 2-2 the count. That fastball is fouled back to the screen. 95 miles an hour. So this guy, he throws hard.
Great stuff. John, I think one of the biggest mistakes the Mets made last year was moving Reyes to second base, you know, when Matsui came over. I think that really hurt his progress. And as you mentioned, now, you know, he's back where he belongs.
2-2 the count, and the slider is popped up, foul, and back out of play.
The one thing about Carlos Zambrano is that, you know, sometimes his emotions would get the best of him, and he'd get too excitable out there on the mound, But now this guy is mature. I mean, he is a pitcher. I mean, the last ball game they won, he pitched. He pitched a great game 6 days ago for him to win a game. So he's done a great job.
Or you could put it another way, which is haven't won since he pitched.
Yeah. Well, that's a better way of putting it. Yeah, John, they haven't won since Zambrano pitched.
Really? They must be on a losing streak.
That's what that week off would do.
Now, Greg Maddux pitched well enough to win yesterday. But the Cubs are having a hard time scoring runs.
Well, you know, I still say that So pitched better. I think that was the key yesterday.
3-2 and a foul back to the screen. 3-2.
Sometimes that happens. I mean, usually happens if you pitch against Roger Clemens.
Yeah. So Maddox, if he'd been really yesterday, he would have gotten a tie.
Yeah, he would have gotten a tie. I mean, the worst So could have gotten yesterday was a tie.
And Cairo, he chased a breaking ball out of the strike zone.
And I think that's something new for Zambrano that these hitters aren't looking for. He usually throws everything hard. Good hard sinker, a hard slider. This is a breaking ball. Look how big this break is, and it's slower. And it gives you a chance to chase that pitch. And you could see Cairo actually look out at him after this swing because it was something that he wasn't expecting. He wasn't expecting that pitch.
And there's a called strike to Carlos Beltran. Beltran has started to hit with more authority here lately.
And he's hitting 300. So I guess he stepped out in time.
He's hit 300, or a little over 300 the last 5 weeks. Right. He's also been running better. That was part of the package, right? He was going to be a 30-30 guy for you. Hit 30 homers, steal 30 bases, play a great center field. But the Beltran we saw early this year was not the full healthy package.
Right. But I still think the expectations were probably too high, John. I mean, he wasn't a guy that hit 30 home runs every year and stole 30 bases every year. I mean, he's a good player, and hopefully he's going to get better. But, I mean, you know, everybody was looking at the 10 days he had last October, thinking that that was the real Carlos Beltran. Well, I mean, at that time it was, but you can't expect that.
Well, I'm expecting 40 home runs, 30, 40 steals. That's what I'm expecting.
Well, you're probably going to be disappointed then. I mean, that's not, you know, what you get.
Well, whoever signed the check must have been expecting something like that. At third base, Ramirez, hurry, throw, a wild one. Beltran runs well.
That's the point you were making. Now he's healthy. Did you see he got out of the box great there? And what happened was Ramirez had to back up to get the big hop, and he looked up and he had to rush because Beltran was down the line. So, you know, early in the year, this would have been a routine play. But see how he gets out of the box very quickly? He's running well now. He looks up, he has to hurry. And he throws it on the inside, and it gets away from Derek Lee. And you have to make a really bad throw to get it away from Derek Lee.
Yeah. Now, they may call that an error, but if it's an error, I'm calling it a forced error.
Yeah.
Not all errors are equal.
Well, that's true. He did have a lot of pressure on Ramirez, and they are calling it an error because I guess the throw was pretty wide.
Now, if that throw had been perfect, at best he would have been out by maybe half a step. So he had to hurry that throw, and Ramirez, who at the best of times will struggle at third base, Ramirez just committed his 15th error of the year. But they have that term in tennis, and I think it applies in baseball as well. Yeah. I think when it's a forced error, a guy's on-base percentage should go up as if he got a hit or a walk.
John, we've got enough statistical information that goes into a game already.
Well,
we got OBA, we got OPS, we got BPS, we got all these things. You want to add another category?
Yeah.
No.
You mean it's OPS? I thought that was ops.
Oh, ops, okay. Ops, okay. Yeah. But I mean, you want to add another statistic? No, we have enough.
Derek Lee's ops.
Because what happens is people get confused and think that makes you a great player if you have one of those things in your favor.
If you have an 11-20 ops, I'm told that that is really great.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Derek Lee.
All right. Well, I think that's okay.
Give me a statistic that proves me wrong.
Yeah, that's okay.
1-1 the count to Cliff Floyd. 25 home runs for the year for Cliff.
By the way, what was your ops at Bob Bird Insurance? I'd like to know that. I'd like to know what that was.
Yeah. We didn't have ops in those days, Joe. We just had a hot dog after a game. Go ahead. 1-1 the count to Cliff Floyd. Ooh, change up, and it's 1-2.
And I think the Mets are surprised. You look how they're looking at him after he makes a different pitch. They're used to everything being hard from Zambrano, and he fooled Cairo with a slow breaking ball. Now here's the changeup, And Floyd is way out in front. I mean, they're just surprised that he's not coming after him with hard stuff, because that's normally the way that he pitches.
Zambrano, before this game, in 147 innings pitched, had allowed 111 hits. Awfully tough to hit. I mean, that's not a statistical breakdown. That's just checking his innings pitched versus the number of hits he allowed. Anybody's below a hit per inning,
right,
you can generally say, well, he's probably got pretty good stuff, or he's tough to hit. But when you're that far below your innings pitched with the hits allowed, then you know that this guy's a cut above. 2-2 the count. Two down, Beltran at first. And that changeup is in the dirt, knocked down by Barrett, the catcher. Full count, 3-2. Now the Mets are in the Eastern Division of the National League. At the start of the day, they were in last place, 7.5 back of Atlanta, but only 2 games out of second place. Florida and Washington are now in a virtual tie for second place, but in the wild card race, the Mets began the day 3 games out behind Houston. The rub there is that they got 4 clubs in front of them, including Houston. There goes Beltran, and that ball is grounded foul to Jerry Manuel. Nice pickup. 3-2 the count. But what I'm saying, Joe, is I want to evaluate. Forget all these statistics. I'm just saying that when you on base percentage, which I think you invented, or somebody invented it because they said, wait a minute, this guy's batting average is not telling us the full story of what he's doing.
I agree with
but
that.
I'm saying when you can force errors because you have speed, Reyes is a guy who does it.
Exactly.
Beltran could do it. I think you should get some kind of statistical credit for that.
Well, I'm sure.
I want to, as a fan, I want to know. You know, when that first came up, Bill James in one of his statistical books back in the 80s, Bill James pointed out on the Kansas City Royals one year. Remember they had Steve Bye-Bye Balboni,
right?
Big home run hitter, and Willie Wilson, who was a great base stealer, great speed. Willie Wilson reached base 31 times on errors one year, and Balboni on the same team, facing the same teams, reached on 3 errors. So Willie Wilson was getting on and forcing a lot of those errors. Beltran runs, and Floyd tops that one foul, and this is turning into a kind of a stressful inning for Zambrano.
John, I think that's one of those things that may not show up statistically, but your teammates know it, your manager knows it. They know that you're getting on base a lot of different ways. So that's one of those hidden values that players have. And that's all obviously dedicated to speed.
I don't want it to be hidden anymore. I don't want it to be hidden. I want him to get paid for it. There goes the runner. That's a base hit. But Neifi Perez playing over into the hole toward the first base line. And here comes Beltran. He's heading home, and he's going to score easily. He scored all the way from first on a ground ball through the middle of the infield. 1-0 Mets.
Well, we saw Jose Reyes tag up at first base yesterday and manufacture a run on a ball hitting center field. Now, Beltran is running, and this ground ball is in the right center field, which makes it the deepest part of the outfield, and he doesn't slow down. And a good job with him and the third base coach waving him home. You see the throw comes in, but remember you have Macias in center field, and he is not normally an outfielder. He was an infielder for a while. So they have infield arms, and I have to give the Mets credit for taking advantage of those infield arms the last 2 days. This great hustle there, that's the Beltran that they were talking about.
Yeah. Now that was exciting. Here's David Wright. So that error has turned into a run now. The forced error has turned into a run, a single, and the runner scores from first. And as David Wright takes a strike.
And he gets an RBI on that.
Manny Acta, the third base coach, waved him around. You think that the right fielder should have picked up that ball rather than the center fielder?
Well, I also think that they should have charged it quicker. They came at a different angle. I mean, you've got to come forward. You know, you have to remember who's running. You have to think about that, and that the fact that he's running with the pitch.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And this is one of the things that, you know, the Cubs have had problems with the last couple of weeks. They have not been playing heads-up smart baseball. They lost a game in Philadelphia the other day when the guy got caught off third and they threw the ball away not knowing exactly what to do. So things are they are making some mental mistakes lately.
Well, I mean, look at this inning. The inning should have been over on 3 batters. Right. Then the error by Ramirez, the forced error. But Cliff Floyd made it throw 10 or 11 pitches just to him. Now Floyd gets a ground ball single, and it's a run.
But by the same token, it's not just, as you say, the error. You're adding more pitches to Zambrano's pitch count. He should have been out of the inning earlier, and he's throwing. He threw 10 extra, you said, to Cliff Floyd. Now he's throwing extra pitches here to David Wright. Plus, he also has Cliff Floyd in scoring position. So mental mistakes hurt you just as much as physical mistakes. They just don't happen as often.
Well, he could have been out of this inning maybe 16 pitches or so, and now he's at 30 pitches. And it started with the defense. The throwing error by Ramirez. David Wright. That's a liner. That's a base hit. Lawton picks it up, but Cliff Floyd's going to score easily. It's 2-0 Mets. David Wright knocks in a run.
Yeah, but the other thing is I didn't give Cliff Floyd the credit for getting to second base on that throw, that came into the plate. The throw came all the way towards the plate, and Cliff Floyd just kept running and went on to second base. And again, I think that's the influence that Willie Randolph has had on this ball club, being aggressive on the base path. That's not a bad pitch. It's up a little bit, but it's a slider away. And it's obvious that Wright can cover the outside corner because he reached out and pulled that ball to left field.
Well, he is now, as you see, David Wright, who just drove in his 62nd run of the year. So David Wright has put up some big numbers. He's still got a shot at a 100 RBI season in his first full big league season, and he's already moved up a little bit in the batting order. He's ahead of Piazza now.
Well, that's why they moved him up. They moved him to an RBI position. 5th is a good RBI position. And, he showed him that he can come through with 2 outs there, a 2-out base hit.
Now here's Mike Cameron. Now David Wright is also a guy, if they don't keep an eye on him, he can steal a bag. He has 11 steals. There's Piazza on deck. Piazza has been moved down to the 7th spot in the batting order. But here's Cameron. Cameron hitting .270, 12 home runs. Slider grounded to the right side. A long run for Nafi Perez. Then the throw just gets him at first. And the inning at long last is over. He had to throw 15 extra pitches after what should have been the 3rd out of the inning. Aramis Ramirez coming up.
There are good ideas. There are great ideas. Then there are ideas that meet a higher standard. And those are the only ideas that make it into our trucks and SUVs. GMC Professional Grade Engineering. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Century 21 agents won't leave you to fend for yourself to sell your home. They're committed to finding as many qualified buyers as possible. To find out more, visit century21.com.
Where is he?
Outside.
What, you thought we wouldn't find out? It's your life. You made your choice. I just thought we raised you better than that.
Buying tires is a big decision. Next time, get everything you want. Cooper Tires. Don't give up a thing.
When we got married, suddenly we had 2 of everything.
They had a lot of stuff.
2 dinette sets, 2 dogs.
2 car insurance companies.
I'm State Farm agent Joan Roysum, and this is a true story.
We had to get rid of a few things.
Yeah, mainly my things.
He had State Farm.
She had a Gecko.
I helped them compare rates and coverage.
It was no comparison.
He was right. For once.
This time, one of my things stayed.
Last year, 1.3 million drivers switched to State Farm. Call an agent today and you'll switch too.
Like a good neighbor,
State Farm is there.
Introducing the new X Games inspired Moto X bike. Built for performance, 20-inch BMX dual suspension, front and rear disc brakes, and Moto X style saddle and fenders. Ride Moto X style.
Now the Cubs into the second inning, 2-0. The Mets leading. Victor Zambrano outside for ball one to Aramis Ramirez. Ramirez, who has a .309 batting average, 28 homers, 81 batted in. Big year, but very dramatically overshadowed on his own ball club by Derek Lee. This year, Lee with the chance at a triple crown to lead the league in batting average, homers, and RBIs. Ramirez, while Derek Lee jumped out to a great start, he was mired in a slump the first several weeks of the season. In fact, we saw him on the holiday, Joe, Memorial Day, in a game at Dodger Stadium, and he had just started within a few days of that game. He had started to get hot right around that time. His last 20 games, look at those numbers. He's driven in 21 runs, 8 homers, and hitting .360. Off the fists. And the count 3-2. Now, that's a pretty good 3-1 pitch, isn't it?
Very good. It's interesting you were talking about Ramirez with 81 RBIs and Lee with 84. And the real reason is because Derek Lee is on base so much, he gives Ramirez a chance to drive in a lot of runs.
Zambrano goes back in there again. This time Aramis takes it. Ball 4. Now let's check in with the studio. Here's Dave Revson with the SportsCenter 30 at 30 update.
Okay, John, Indiana native Tony Stewart wins the Brickyard for the first time in his career, capturing the All-State 400. It's his 4th victory in the last 6 races, moves him into first place in the Nextel Cup standings. Wayne Gretzky, the NHL's all-time leading scorer, will try his hand at coaching. The great one will take over the Phoenix Coyotes. Lots more on these stories, plus 50 and 50 in Indiana on SportsCenter after the game. Guys.
Wow. Can you imagine being a player and your coach is the great one? There's ball 1 outside to Nomar. And Nomar, he not only had the very serious groin muscle injury, a groin muscle tear, but talking to him before the game, Joe, it also came up and there was a partial tear in his lower abdominal muscle. And it was an excruciating rehab that he's been going through. Because of that, he said, you never realize how often you use that lower abdominal muscle. It's almost everything you do as a human being, much less a ball player.
I didn't have the groin injury, John, but I had the abdominal pull tear because, you know, it is very excruciating. And every time you move, you use that muscle. I was on a disabled list, I guess, once for that. So I know exactly what he's talking about. Jerry West, the great basketball player and a baseball fan, I might ask. He's the one that told me that he had the same thing during the basketball season. It just, you can't run. You can't, there's nothing you can do. But it was very, very, it took a long time for me to get over mine.
That's toward the middle. Reyes off his glove, and that's going to be a hit. The first hit back from the disabled list for Nomar, an infield hit. And really, this is still like a spring training for him as a hitter because he only had 6 games on a rehab assignment in the minor leagues.
Yeah, as I said in the open, John, I think the adrenaline will carry you at first. And you have to remember, he went 0 for 4 on Friday. I thought something, maybe Zambrano's foot touched that ball because it looked erratic when it got to Reyes, although it just hits in his glove and bounces out. But I think Nomar can play well for a short period of time just on adrenaline. But after that, you know, it's going to take a while for him to get his timing back.
Well, 2 men on with nobody out. And there's ball 1 to Todd Hollingsworth. Cubs down 2-0, but they got a threat going here against Victor Zambrano. And Hollingsworth, he hadn't faced him often, but he's had some success against him. 3 hits in 6 lifetime at bats for Hollingsworth against Victor Zambrano. That could be 2. There's 1. Reyes back to first. A double play with Ramirez going to third base.
And a perfectly executed and play there at second by Cairo. He just backhanded it, got it over to Reyes very quickly, and it was easy from there. They just kind of played catch.
I mean, is that one of your favorite plays to watch?
Yeah.
Executed beautifully?
Yeah, I love to watch, you know, the double play. started by either one, though. I think it's beautiful to watch him turn and make the play around second base.
Here's Michael Barrett. And this ball went down to the way. Barrett, for the year, is hitting .274, 11 homers, 47 batted in. But with runners in scoring position, and he's got one right now, he's hitting .342. Been one of the Cubs' better hitters in the clutch. Just off the outside, 2-0. Victor Zambrano, by the way, it's not so unusual tonight for him to be behind the hitter on the count. He has not thrown a first pitch strike to any hitter yet. 7 straight hitters. That's a strike on the outside of the knees. 2-1.
Well, what happens with Zambrano, and I'm noticing it now, when he gets behind, he'll make a really good pitch. Like that was a 2-0 pitch, so Barrett's looking for a fastball. What does he do? He nails the fastball knee-high outside corner.
3-1. So why can't he make that pitch on the first pitch?
Yeah, good point. Now watch, you'll see Barrett will be sitting on another fastball. Let's see if he gives him a good pitch to hit.
Jose Macias, a switch hitter, is on deck. Into the hole. Jose Reyes got a long throw to make. Nice. Great arm
and quick release.
Well, the Cubs had a threat with 2 men out and nobody out. They do not score. Mike Piazza coming up.
Coach says, why pay more to stay somewhere else? Just slide into Motel 6. It's clean, comfortable, and always a steal. Good one, Coach.
We'll leave the light on for you. And Accor Hotel.
Oh, thank you, guys. What a weekend. Awesome time. Thank you.
Hey, you're marrying a great girl, buddy. Seriously.
Yeah, she is a great girl. Who would not approve of one single thing we just did?
Isn't that your... Well, that's gonna make an interesting toast.
Today, you're a super painter with the Wagner Paint Crew. It's built for big jobs with an extra long hose that gives you the reach you need. The innovative Paint Crew. One of the ways Wagner gives you more power, because there's always something that needs painting. Wagner. Paint fast. Paint smart.
Trade in your boring breakfast for a Dan and Fruition.
Have a corn muffin.
Give me that and try this Fruition. Real fruit and yogurt, perfectly blended into the ultimate smoothie.
That's a smoothie.
It's good, huh? Dan and Fruition, the real smoothie in a bottle.
Keeping everyone healthy isn't easy. It's the flu, arthritis, something. And you need those prescriptions.
Millions of hardworking Americans live without health insurance. Together Rx Access can help. Sponsored by 10 top pharmaceutical companies, Together Rx Access saves eligible people up to 40% on prescriptions, and it's free.
I want to make it on my own. Sometimes I just need a little help.
Call 1-800-444-4106 today.
Log on to MLB.com to follow baseball live on the web with MLB.com's real-time stats, game day audio, and MLB.tv. MLB.com, where baseball is always on.
This telecast is available on ESPN HD, sponsored by Philips Flat TVs with Ambilight. To get ESPN HD, call your cable operator or satellite provider.
And we are in HD tonight. And if you don't have an HD set yet, well, go down to your local electronic store and sit in the room where they got those HD sets and just experience it for a while. And we have our own right here on Sunday Night Baseball that Joe Paxson carries around.
I carry this around
every week. Yeah. Piazza quickly behind in the count against Carlos Zambrano, 0-2.
You know, and Mike has been swinging the bat much better lately. Even though they've dropped him in the order, he has started, you know, he's averaged up to 267 from a very poor start.
A very defensive looking swing right there, but a 93-mile-an-hour fastball up and away, and he was trying to put him away right there. And then he's facing a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of
hard stuff.
People were saying, hey, he can't get around to that stuff anymore.
I think he can still fight it off.
And that breaking ball is outside. Now, he must get around some of it lately because he's hitting .417 in the month of August. And they've been hitting with some authority, hitting with power. And another breaking ball misses.
And the one thing that, you know, I said to him before the game, he really handled all this very well. Dropped to seventh, you know. Remember 5 years ago, he's all the Mets had. He was their guy. Now to take a back seat, so to speak, is, you know, it's not easy to do, you know, for a guy that has, if you have a big ego. And he's been willing to hit wherever Willie Randolph has asked him to hit. So, you know, you have to take your hat off to a guy like that.
He's probably the greatest hitting catcher in the history of the game. And he gets a walk. We're talking about Mike Piazza. Let's go to Sam Ryan.
Well, John and Joe, Mike told me there is less pressure on him this year with the new guys, and he's been enjoying the support of the fans of late in what could be his final 2 months as a New York Met. He told me he's becoming sentimental and reflecting lately. Mike added, quote, "I still feel I know I have a lot of baseball left. I don't know what's going to happen." He said if he doesn't fit in the team's future plans, so be it. But he told me he hasn't sat down yet to see what the team's future plans are just yet. He said he's not ruling anything out, gentlemen.
All right, Sam, and here is Marlon Anderson, and that's a called strike on the inside. I would think, though, because he's going to turn 37 in September, just about a month from now, and most catchers in the history of the game, I mean, talk about great catchers, they weren't putting up the numbers Piazza is putting up right now.
Johnny Bench had already retired. So, wow. And he is probably the greatest catcher ever.
Left center field, there is Matt Lawton. And Marlon Anderson is gone. Piazza will have to go back to first base. Well, I mean, there have been great catchers over the years. Bench is one of them. But in the year where they turned 37, as you said, Bench was already retired. Yogi Berra, and he didn't even catch that much anymore. Elson Howard was the catcher. He had 224. Carlton Fisk is one guy who had the big home run numbers. And, of course, he kept catching till he was, what, 45 years old. Gary Carter was just about finished. Hit only 6 home runs. And here's Piazza, 14 homers, 54 batted in. So that's one of the better years that a catcher at that age has ever had. And that, talk about a wild pitch.
Well, John, that wasn't a wild pitch. I don't know what happened. Now watch that again. I think you thought it was wild because it just got by, but watch that ball. I don't know what happened to Barrett. Watch this. Now, I don't know what happens here. I mean, that's not a wild pitch. Look how much that's out of the strike zone. He didn't move. Barrett, look at it. He only reaches across. He doesn't move. I mean, the ball wasn't that far inside.
So Piazza over to second base. Victor Zambrano is not going to bunt now. It's a ball outside. Zambrano, a right-handed pitcher, batting left-handed.
Yeah, they called it a pass ball because I thought he should have caught that ball, John. But it looked wild because he didn't react to it. But he definitely, it definitely should have been a pass ball, and they scored it that way. Let's take a look. Now, watch. You'll see he doesn't move. He just reaches across. See the target? Now, here's the ball. Look at that. That's just off the plate inside. He just reaches across, and it goes past the umpire and everybody else. I don't know exactly what he was looking for there. But obviously he was set up away, and the ball was inside.
Now Zambrano bunts at it. Foul. Victor Zambrano, like Carlos, is a switch hitter. Well, I didn't mean wild pitch.
I know it.
As an official score.
I know it looked wild. The way he reacted
meant that it got away.
Yeah, but it looked wild the way he reacted. But I watched him and I just didn't see him move.
But you made an excellent point.
Yeah, I didn't see him move. Well, we work together. Sometimes.
One of the first excellent points I've ever heard you make.
Sometimes we work together.
Victor Zambrano ahead and swung away and moved Piazza over to third base.
Hey, you've covered me a few times. We just work together. We don't count. We don't count. It's about the 15th time I've saved you, but I mean, we don't count, do we?
If he jumped across there and it got by, and then that would be a wild pitch.
Yeah, a wild pitch. Yeah. But I don't know. He just didn't react to the ball.
There was some wildness involved, though.
Definitely wild. It wasn't where the target was, but he didn't react to it.
He missed the target by about 2 feet. But all right, now with 2 down. The Mets trying to get another run home. Reyes swings and misses. Reyes actually, in the month of July, hit over 300. And he's doing it again here in the month of August. And his batting average is moving inexorably toward 300 for the year. Came into play tonight hitting 280. And Reyes, who rarely walks.
And his speed creates havoc for the defense.
We've seen that already. And it wasn't his speed. It was the speed of Beltran. The speed, though, is a big part of the Mets game. As Reyes is hobbled a little bit, hitting that one foul off his front foot or leg. off the shin.
That's even worse.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's every time I see that guy, I always remember Jermaine Dye hitting one off his left shin against Mariano Rivera in the playoffs. Right back to Carlos Zambrano. And Derek Lee gets the put out. Reyes is 0 for 2 against Zambrano. 2-0. The Mets lead. We go to the third inning now from New York.
For over a century, scientists have chased the missing links of evolution. Some experienced rejection, some committed fraud, some found glory, and some may have opened the doors. It's a baby. To over 3 million years of human history.
The question that everybody wanted to know is, where did we come from? Boy, did they give us an answer.
Ape to Man. Tonight at 9, 8 Central on the History Channel. The evolution of evolution begins.
DirecTV Freeview and Music Choice present an exclusive concert event. Robert Earl Keen, a pioneer of alternative country music, doing all the hits from his new album, What I Really Mean. Don't miss this master storyteller, Robert Earl Keen, free every weekend this month on DirecTV Channel 124.
My grandson wants to be an astronaut. So he has a telescope and is hooked up to his computer. Andromeda? We saw it. The rings of Saturn, the Cat's Eye Nebula? I didn't know it was there, but we saw it. We just type in the name of a star, and off we go, just like astronauts.
Start something cosmic. Start anything you like with a world of software and devices that run on Windows.
Mother Nature can be harsh on your car. That's why there's Rain-X. From windshield treatment to wax, everything you need to weatherproof your vehicle.
And the wheel goes round. And the wheel goes round.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Brought to you by Microsoft. Get behind the scenes at ESPN. Enter the Start Something Amazing Awards and tell us how technology supports your passion for sports. Go to windows.com/awards.
And here we are at Shea Stadium. The Mets coming up in the third inning, trailing the Mets 2-0. The Cubs coming up here with Macias, Carlos Zambrano, and Matt Lawton, the leadoff man, facing Victor Zambrano of the Mets. Macias, who's been playing every day out in center field, as Corey Patterson has been sent back to the minor leagues, and apparently that has not gone well for Corey so far. The last I heard, he was hitting .230.
Well, it's very difficult for a guy to go to the minor leagues after being in the big leagues for a couple of years and go down and adjust right away. It might take a while.
Reyes off the bat, but the tag gets it.
Nice play by Marlon Anderson.
Marlon Anderson slapped the tag on Macias as he was going by.
Reyes kind of takes his time right there, and then he gets rid of it, but he throws it on the home plate side. A nice play there by Marlon Anderson. Reyes is usually pretty accurate, but he was on the move, so threw it up the line a little bit.
Carlos Zambrano, like Victor, they're both switch hitters.
Well, Carlos can swing the bat pretty well
this year,
and he let it go right there.
He's hit .250. He swung that like a guy who knows what he's doing up there.
Exactly.
0-1 the count. A drag bunt, foul. 0-2 the count. Well, he took one shot and hit one into the bullpen, and then he bunted.
Yeah, trying to trick him.
Carlos Zambrano hitting .282 as a left-handed hitter, with 4 doubles, a triple, and 4 runs batted in, but only 154 right-handed. So maybe I ought to just give up the right-handed. But he's just an excellent all-round athlete, Carlos Zambrano. 1 out, nobody on. Matt Lawton is on deck. And that one runs off the outside. 1-2 the count. Now, we were talking about the wild card in the National League wild card race. The Houston Astros have been so hot. Oh, that breaking ball struck him out. 2 men gone. And there's a look at our Goodyear Skycam with us here at Shea Stadium tonight. You get the panoramic view of the action from the expensive seats, and it moves. And there's strike one to Matt Lawton. Houston won today after the Giants had taken 2 in a row from him. Roger Clemens was the stopper. Roger turned 43 on Thursday, and he got yet another win today, and he got tested today. That was a 1-1 game to the 8th inning, so they really needed some strong pitching, and then they broke that game open in the 8th and 9th to give Clemens the win. From shallow right field, there's the play made by Cairo. 3 up and 3 down for the Cubs. Cairo coming up, then Beltran and Floyd. 2-0 Mets.
4 adopted brothers with their mother gone.
Why would anybody want to kill the sweetest woman in the world?
All they have is each other.
Haven't seen you forever. Did you get your teeth white?
And all they want is justice.
Can't all be safe. This is going to require a little finesse. This is Detroit, in case y'all forgot.
4 Brothers, rated R. Starts Friday only in theaters.
I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texas, down to Monterey, Faraday, Santa Fe, Tallapoosa, Glen Rock, Black Rock, Little Rock, Oskaloosa, Tennessee, Chicopee, Spirit Lake, Grand Lake, Devil's Lake, Crater Lake, Beach Lake. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
To get 2 free nights at these Choice Hotels, get the no annual fee Choice Privileges Visa credit card. For reservations and more details, visit choicehotels.com. Choice Hotels. We'll see you there.
Sharp multifunction products transform the office by adding enhanced color to your documents. Then Sharp technology doubled your productivity by scanning 2-sided documents in a single pass. Now Sharp's data security kit is transforming the office again by preventing unauthorized access to information while keeping sensitive digital documents from falling into the wrong hands. The Sharp Digital Imager Series. All the productivity you want, all the document security you need.
Think about the mountains you want to climb in the BMW X5. The corners you want to take. The hairpin turns you plan to find. Because it would be very un-BMW-like to have you thinking about brake pads, rotors, and oil changes. The BMW X5, the only SAV in its class with the standard full maintenance program.
Lease the BMW X5 for $429 a month, only through August 31st.
How about that? You feel that? Mm-mm. No.
How about this? What do you think? You feel that?
No. That's so cool.
Wild.
Back at Shea Stadium as we head in from the left field corner back toward the infield and out there in the middle of the diamond. On the mound is Carlos Zambrano of the Chicago Cubs. Gave up 200 runs in the first, the only runs of the game. That slider is punched into right field by Miguel Cairo for a base hit.
That was interesting. He struck Cairo out with a slow slider in the first inning. He starts him with a regular slider, and Cairo goes the other way with it. That's good hitting.
Now the big hitters are coming up. Beltran, Floyd, David Wright. And really, if the Mets are going to make a run and get into the postseason, whether it be for the wild card or making a move on Atlanta, the top of the division, and they got a lot of teams to get through to get to Atlanta because they began today in last place in the division, even though they have a winning record. Strike one to Beltran. Guys like Beltran and Cameron, Piazza, the veteran guys. I'm not including Cliff Floyd because these guys are going to have to start coming on.
I agree.
Floyd's already, he's been the one guy who's been kind of coming on all year long.
I agree, John, but I think it's a long shot in that they're going to have a lot of guys come through from them, not just the players you mentioned in the lineup, but you're going to have better starting pitching. They're going to have definitely better bullpen, relief pitching. So all these things they're capable of putting all of it together, but they're going to have to do that. It's going to have to be a complete team effort in what happens. And I think that's one thing that's been overlooked about the Oakland A's and how well they played. It has been a total team effort. They haven't leaned on any one or two guys. Everybody's contributed. The bullpen, the starting pitching, the closer, everybody has done well, with the Oakland A's. And it's, they don't have a lot of 300 hitters. They don't have guys driving in a lot of runs. But, they've been able to, play as a team, and that's what the Mets are going to have to do, as well as the Cubs. They're going to have to get contributions from a lot of different people.
Oakland, after starting the year terribly,
7-20.
Well, and after that they were 17-32, 15 under 500. Now they are 17 over 500.
Yeah, unbelievable.
47 wins and 15 losses in their last 62 games. That's a lot of games to be playing that well.
And you look at it, John, it's been, like I said, effort. I mean, everybody has contributed. It hasn't been just one guy carrying them or two guys. I mean, they've gotten contribution from all their starters in the lineups. And, they acquired Jay Payton, and he had a couple of grands. I mean, he's been able to just help them.
High and tight to Beltran. And Carlos Zambrano. Now it's 3-1. Beltran reached on the error by Aramis Ramirez in the first inning with 2 down. That started the 2-run rally. But it was an error that really he prompted because of his speed. A hurried throw. An off-balance throw.
He actually accounted for both runs, John, because by him trying to score, that allowed Cliff Floyd to go to second base and get in the scoring position, because the throw came all the way to the plate. If he'd have stopped at third, Floyd would have had to stop at first.
He scored from first base on the ground ball single by Cliff Floyd into right center field, and Floyd took second as they made a play at the plate on Beltran, and then moments later David Wright singled Floyd home. So Beltran, I mean, his line for the game reads 0 for 1, but as you point out very adroitly, he has a hand in both of the Mets' runs. And here is Floyd with nobody out and 2 men on. Carlos Zambrano is back in trouble. Now, when Floyd batted in the first inning, the second baseman Nafi Perez was way over into the hole toward first base. Now in a double play situation, he's not that far over. He's still off the bag a lot, but not the way he was. Strike 1 to Floyd.
Well, the problem is, the deeper you get, John, when you stand out here, you can't catch anything up the middle, and that's where they were, when he got the single in the first to drive in the run. But now you're in double play situation. You have to play so you can get to the bag if Floyd hits a ground ball to second shortstop or third base. You got to be able to get to the bag if the ball is hit to the left side of the infield.
1 strike to count to Floyd. High and tight. Fastball, a little cut to it.
It's interesting. He has pitched each one of these hitters, Beltran and Floyd, identically. And that's what you look for on the bench, to see how he's pitching the left-hander in front of you. And if you're Floyd, you see that. In fact, he looks like he's inched off the plate a little bit, because he kept trying to bury the ball in on Beltran. And he started that way with Floyd. And he's set up inside again. Yeah.
1-2 the count now.
Let's take a look at the base hit that we saw. Now look where he is out here. Anything up here, it doesn't have to be hit hard. Anything there, you can't cover that. You just can't get over there. And we'll see this. This ball's not hit hard. And that's the problem. See, now instead of running in and hustling in to get to that ball, they're kind of trotting it and cut it off deep in the outfield. You got to cut it off in front of you to keep the runner from scoring, and they didn't do that.
Beltran scored all the way from first on that ground ball single. That is inside. 2-2 the count.
I mean, he's pitching both of these hitters exactly the same. He lost Beltran by pitching inside and missing several times inside. Now he's pitched Cliff Floyd exactly the same way.
Well, this whole night has been a struggle, really, ever since Beltran reached on that error in the first inning. He's thrown a lot of pitches in the game already, and most of them since that point. Nobody out. And a high slider.
Hanger. And that's why Floyd jumped out of his shoes at it. Take a look at this pitch. It's up, high breaking ball. Actually, K-Zone says it was a strike right at the top of the strike zone.
Was that, you think that was a curveball rather than a slider?
No, it was a slider. I think it was a slider. He just slows down. He's changing speeds on his slider. I think his curveball has a little more downward move. That was more laterally across the strike zone.
Well, that's his hanging curveball.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess he can't specialize.
His hanger doesn't drop down that much.
Yeah.
2-2.
Good point. Yeah, let's take a look. Maybe you're right. Let's see where the release point is. Well, nah, that's a slider motion. See him pull across it. When you pull across it, that's a slider.
Okay.
When you pull down, it's the curveball.
Sunday Night Baseball, we want to know, curve slider. We get the answer. We get the proof. We get the evidence. 3-2 the count now to Cliff Floyd. Well, are the runners going now? Cairo from second, Beltran from first. Cairo doesn't have the kind of speed Beltran has. They are not running. And that is ball 4. They can all walk now. The bases are loaded for David Wright. And it is Carlos Zambrano who has had the control issues tonight. And, you know, he has had a real hard time putting hitters away. He's thrown over 60 pitches. The Mets have fouled off almost a third of those pitches.
Well, and that at bat, it looked like, against Beltran, it didn't look like he was trusting his sinker, trusting his stuff there. He was trying to bury the fastball in on the hands. Everything was trying to be, you know, inside. He was trying to pitch inside completely instead of, he never threw a sinker rolling away from either one of those hitters.
So this may be the big at bat of the game. David Wright not going to run with a single his first time, and Zambrano just powers a high fastball right by him at 94 miles an hour. Wright got a breaking ball and single to left and not going to run his first time.
Well, he still misses the target, but he just, as you said, overpowers him up and in.
Ooh, just off the outside, 96 miles an hour at that time. Ball 1 strike. Wright with 62 RBIs for the year, just under 300 average. With Cairo at third, Beltran at second, Floyd at first. The middle infielders looking for the double play ball. That fastball is fouled. Well, he's just trying to power the ball by Wright so far. You've seen him hit the slider. 1-2. But this is where he's had a hard time. He gets to two strikes, the guys start fouling the ball off.
Well, he's in a situation now where, you know, you're limited in what you might want to try. You can't throw a breaking ball in the dirt. You can't throw a changeup in the dirt. You just have to go after the hitter, and that's what he's doing so far in this at bat.
2-2. And that's what he continues to do. This is power pitching by Zambrano. There's Chris Spire. Dusty Baker looking on from the Cubs dugout. Spire, the third base coach. Baker, the manager. Bases loaded, nobody out. That slider off the end of the bat, starting backwards. Lawton coming in. Here's the tag by Cairo. Here comes a throw. He overshoots the cutoff man, and Cairo scores, and Beltran also moves up. 3-0. Well, Lawton overshot his cutoff man.
Yeah, but if there's one thing we notice here, is that the Mets are running on all the outfielders here. They know that the Cub outfielders do not have great arms. This is not a deep ball. It's a breaking ball again. He gets it off the end of the bat, and this ball is not deep. So he's coming in, but he does not have a strong enough arm. That ball was not that deep, but they were going to run anyway, and they do so, and both runners move up. The runner from second moves to third. The runner from third comes home.
Now, for a moment there, I thought Barrett had a shot at Beltran at third base. But Aramis Ramirez, who had set up for the cutoff, he was not there, but Nomar was, and I'm wondering if Barrett didn't realize that. He held the ball. Either when he saw Ramirez not in the bag, he just thought nobody was there, or...
Well, again, that was a shallow fly ball. That just kind of shows that the Mets have a good scouting report on the Cubs outfielders.
Here's Cameron, runners at first and third. 1 out now. And that's strike one.
And we saw that yesterday when we saw Reyes tag up at first on the fly ball in center field, routine ball. They think that they can take advantage of the Cubs outfielders' arms, and you see it. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Taking base after base on this Cubs outfield. Cameron grounded to second his first time. And he powered that one by. 2 strikes to count.
It looks like when he gets the fastball running up and in that it just explodes on the hitter and they can't catch up with it. I mean, this fastball, even though the target's down and away, look where this fastball, it just explodes up at the top of the strike zone.
2 strikes now to Cameron. Strike 3 call. A little movement from the outside back over the corner.
And a good fastball again. That ball, I think Cameron was looking for the slider because he had chased it. And with 2 strikes, he doesn't throw him the slider. He comes back with the fastball. And as you said, it moves back toward the plate. It started to look like off the outside corner and moves back over the outside corner. There's a little movement back there. Nice pitch.
As you saw, that Kazman said off the plate, but barely. Maybe an inch off the plate.
If that.
If that. Here's Mike Piazza. He walked his first time. I think when you're an umpire and you see that movement coming back to the plate and it hits right in the target, I mean, that's going to be a strike.
Yeah, well, it's very difficult for anybody, John, to watch a 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball and be exact to the inch or the half inch. So that's acceptable under the guys of the umpires, the way they're schooled.
In the ballparks that use the computerized system where the umpires can critique themselves and see every pitch of every game, if the pitch was within 2 inches of home plate, that is what they call acceptable. And they get a complete breakdown of pitches that they missed versus pitches that were within the acceptable range. 2-1 now to Piazza. Runners at first and third here. A run is in for the Mets, who lead 3-0 in the third. Piazza against Carlos Zambrano. Power pitcher. Piazza is facing Zambrano for the first time in his career tonight. Up the middle, base hit into center field, and that knocks in a run. Well, Piazza, I mean, he didn't hit it over the wall, but he hit a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and he hit it with authority.
Well, he had been getting that fastball up, to Mike Cameron and to David Wright. This one is not up. He's trying to get it up. And the target's low, but you see that one's not up. The other fastballs were up here that they were missing. That fastball is down a little bit, and when you get it down there, it doesn't overpower the hitter.
Now Marlon Anderson, 2 men on, 2 men out, 2 runs in. 1 ball and no strike, saved there by Michael Barrett. Anderson flied out to left center his first time. Well, the Cubs need a big game from the guy who's become their ace pitcher. And Carlos Zambrano, who's been pitching extremely well lately, especially. But it has not been there so far for him tonight. 1-1 the count. In his last 7 starts before tonight, Zambrano had a 1.49 ERA and had gone at least 7 innings in all 7 of those starts.
Well, as you mentioned, the 2 runs in the first inning are not earned, because of the error, the 2-out error by Ramirez. So those 2 are not earned.
I mean, at this pace, they'll have to throw about 240 pitches tonight to get a complete game. 2-1 the count. He's closing in on 80 pitches thrown already. And he's not out of the 3rd inning. Cliff Floyd at second. Mike Piazza at first. 2 down. And he tries that breaking ball up and away. 3-1. Well, you mentioned the slider. And he's been kind of changing speeds in that slider.
And I thought that was going to really help him because he surprised the Mets in the first inning doing that. But again, as a hitter, you sit on the bench and you watch how he pitches the guy in front of you, or you watch how he pitches someone similar to you, and then you kind of adjust as you go through the ball game. And And as I mentioned, he pitched Beltran and Cliff Floyd exactly the same way in the last at bat.
So now it's 3-2 to Marlon Anderson. And this at bat by Anderson is very similar to a lot of the at bats by Mets hitters up and down the lineup tonight. This is the 6th time that he's gone to a 3-2 count. Runners go. Popped up. Out in front of the plate is Barrett. And Barrett, the inning is over. 2 more runs for the Mets. 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 left. On to the 4th, Perez. Then Derek Lee and Ramirez coming up.
Goodyear knows you're not the only one who depends on your tires. That's why there's the new Goodyear Wrangler with Silent Armor technology. It's engineered with a layer made with Kevlar for toughness and a quieter ride. Get the truck tire you can count on. The new Goodyear Wrangler with Silent Armor technology, so you can be there on the wings of Goodyear.
Well, I had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky.
The multifunctional element.
Yes, I had a dream. I
from Honda.
Stood beneath an orange sky.
Where will it take you?
We could go to a baseball game.
Or we could go to the Home Depot and work in the yard.
You could go to the Home Depot with a Major League Baseball player and work in the yard.
Okay.
The Home Depot has what you need for a Major League yard. Miracle Grow, Roundup, Orthomax, Scott's Turf Builder, and more.
Look at that yard. I'm pretty good at this.
Maybe too good.
When you hit the road, you expect your car to perform well. But if your engine isn't clean, it may not perform at its best. Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline can help. It actively cleans your engine for better performance. So no matter where you're going, with Shell V-Power, you'll be able to enjoy the performance. Shell V-Power actively cleans for better performance.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. We're at Shea Stadium in New York. Oh, a Yankee fan in attendance with the Mattingly jersey. Oh, there's our hot dog, Joe. 4-0 the Mets out in front.
John, I want to show you something. Now watch Lawton catch the ball. First of all, he's shallow. Now watch his throw. He overshoots Ramirez. Watch, he's the cutoff man right there. He tries to cut it off. He couldn't. Now Barrett, he's between Barrett and Nomar Garcia-Parra, so Barrett doesn't throw. If Ramirez can cut that ball off, he would have taken the runner going to third, and they wouldn't have scored the other run. But we've talked about the fact that they're running on their outfield, and so far they haven't been able to respond.
They're running on it, and the outfielders not only are not making strong throws, they're
missing the cutoff.
They're missing their cutoff man and giving away extra bases, much less giving away those runs. Nefi Perez has grounded out in his only at-bat, facing Victor Zambrano. Now, among Zambrano aficionados, this game may be going just the opposite of the way it might have figured to go. It's been Carlos Zambrano throwing a ton of pitches, having wildness, having some problems. Victor Zambrano, meanwhile, he's only walked one, and that is a catch by Cliff Floyd in foul ground to retire Nefi Perez. One away. Carlos Zambrano has thrown 80 pitches in the first 3 innings.
And John, they've got someone warming up in the bullpen. Is
Derek Lee.
I don't know what that meant. He gave Rothschild some signal, and it looked like he's headed to the clubhouse.
Well, I mean, he's had 3 rugged innings in a row. And in the bullpen, Michael Wirtz, the right-hander, is warming up. Derek Lee, the hitter. 0-1 the count to Derek. And that breaking ball is bounced foul. Derek Lee was held in an 0 for 4 yesterday. He hadn't had many of those games, hitless games. And he had one hit, which was a home run on Friday night. So he's only had one hit and 9 at-bats in this series at Shea.
David Wright made a fine play his first time up. He grounded it in the hole and he gloved it and was able to throw him out. So he came close to getting a base hit that time at bat.
Here's Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach. We saw on tape the very brief exchange between Rothschild and Carlos Zambrano after the inning ended. And right after that, Rothschild turned around and was heading over to Dusty Baker to tell him what was going on. And then the next thing was the bullpen was going.
What's that? The manager's the last one to know?
Although the way it's gone for Carlos Zambrano, I think even the manager probably was not surprised.
Yeah.
2-2 the count to Derek Lee. Aramis Ramirez on deck. And that breaking ball. And that one kind of spun through right the middle of the strike zone. But fouled out of play by Derek Lee. 2-2 to Derek. Derek Lee for the 2-2 count. Right to the shortstop, Jose Reyes. Out number 2. The Bridgestone passion for excellence. Here's the Bridgestone Tires passion for excellence. And Derek Lee back atop the league in batting average. He had fallen just behind Miguel Cabrera as of yesterday.
He went 0 for 2 so far, though.
So this
he gained on Cabrera.
We may need a recount. But he's still close in home runs, close in RBIs. Andrew Jones with a couple of home runs yesterday in St. Louis leads the league with 35. Carlos Lee of Milwaukee leads the league in RBIs. Albert Pujols and Andrew Jones behind him. So Derek is actually now 4th in the league in RBIs. And it's home runs, RBIs, and batting average. Those are the Triple Crown categories. There is Piazza. Well, Victor Zambrano with a 4-0 lead, and he has his easiest inning yet, including getting the Cubs' 2 biggest hitters, Lee and Ramirez. 4-0 Mets.
You want game? This fall, ESPN Game Plan has more than 150 extra college football games. Key matchups and rivalries from major conferences. All available when you order the exclusive ESPN Game Plan pay-per-view package. ESPN Game Plan. It's maximum college football. Save $20 off the regular season price by calling 1-800-GET-SPORTS.
Hey, Steve?
Yeah?
I heard there's this thing called the DirecTV Movers Connection. They install your DirecTV service in your new home when you move. And it's free.
Free. Maybe we should move. This is better.
Movers Connection, only from DirecTV. Another example of how DirecTV is rethinking the way television should be.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Century 21 agents won't leave you to fend for yourself to sell your home. They're committed to finding as many qualified buyers as possible. To find out more, visit century21.com.
Is that ice cream or is that frozen yogurt? What do you think? They get the sprinkles on it.
think that makes it yogurt.
And they put the sprinkles on with Mets batting helmets. Hopefully not game used. That looks good. On a warm, muggy night at the ballpark is your old friend, Mr. Met. There's Michael Wirtz. And indeed, Carlos Zambrano is finished. And Michael Wirtz comes on, young right-hander from Minnesota, 26 years old. Got into 31 big league games last year. And that fastball is in for a called strike. Actually around 90 miles an hour.
I've watched him pitch a couple of times, John. He's pitched well, but again, he's had some good outings and some poor outings. I think he's just not been able to be consistent.
Macias grabs it, shallow center. Victor Zambrano is retired, and now the leadoff man Reyes is coming up. Monday Night Baseball presented by L'Oreal, men's expert. Albert Pujols of the St. Louis Cardinals up against Jeff Jenkins, Carlos Lee, and the Milwaukee Brewers at Miller Park, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific, 7 Central on ESPN and ESPN HD. Matt Morris against Victor Santos in that game. Tomorrow night. Is that Dave O'Brien and Rick Sutcliffe? They're off tomorrow? There's no off in baseball. Sean McDonough and Jeff Brantley will be there. Well, we'll be in good hands one way or the other tomorrow night. 1 ball, 1 strike to Reyes, who was not able to get a hit against Zambrano. But he's got one against Michael Wirtz. Takes the big turn at first, and he'll have to go back as Macias hurries the ball back in. Macias hurried up on that play, and he learned the hard way that he needed to here yesterday when Jose Reyes stole a base against him on a fly ball to center.
Well, this is good hitting. That was a little slide piece outside corner, and he just goes the other way. And you're right. Now watch how Macias gets over. He comes forward on that ball, and that's the difference. You got to have your momentum coming forward. You can hold the runner. The one thing I've noticed about Reyes that makes him such a great force of the action and base stealer is he reminds me a little bit of Maury Wills, Sean. After 2 steps, I mean, this guy's up to full speed. You know, and it takes some players, 5 or 6 steps to get up there. Maury Wills, after 2 steps, was up to full speed. He wasn't as fast as Reyes now, but he was up to full speed, and this guy's the same way. He's obviously still learning to steal bases because he's been caught 9 times, but I mean, when he goes, I mean, he's up to full speed right after 2 or 3 steps. He's gone.
Only Juan Pierre of the Marlins has stolen more bases than Reyes, and not that many more. Only 1 more at the start of the day. Back to the bag is Reyes. But yesterday, that quick acceleration you're talking about was evident when he tagged up at first on a fly ball to fairly deep center field, and he challenged Macias. And I think Macias was not ready for that challenge. I think he was a little stunned by it. And that helped the Mets get a very big run. It was a 2-0 final score. He took that extra base going to second, then later stole third, and eventually scored on a base hit.
A shallow base hit. A jam job off of Beltran, but by the same token, I mean, he manufactured the run. He got himself in the scoring position where he could score on anything.
Reyes has scored 70 runs this year. 0-2 the count to Cairo. Broken back. Derek Lee's got it. The second one. Nomar back to first with Wirtz covering double play.
Nice play.
Beltran stranded on deck. On to the 5th inning. Nomar will be coming up for the Cubs, who are trailing. Mets 4, Cubs nothing.
ESPN Fantasy Football. Play for free at ESPN.com/fantasyfootball.
Turn off the Ambilight function on your Philips flat TV, and it's like going back in time. The only flat TV with Ambilight from Philips. You'll never go back to ordinary TV.
count on Office Depot for your tech needs, so count on us for hers. Now exclusively at Office Depot, an HP Pavilion with Intel Pentium 4 processor, 15-inch LCD monitor and printer, an $859.99 value at just $589.99 after mail-in rebates. Designed specifically for students at a price designed for you. So come in today. Office Depot.
Taking care of business.
Very important to take care of the baseball field you guys play on.
Boys and Girls Clubs is the official charity of Major League Baseball.
He takes hard work, but he can be fun too.
We run through the sprinklers.
Yeah.
Hey, wait for us.
Together, they create a positive place for kids.
Hey, Homer. 4-0, the Mets lead the Cubs. Where's Marge? Victor Zambrano goes to work now to Nomar Garcia-Parra, who has the only hit so far for the Cubs, and that was an infield hit. I mean, Zambrano, Victor that is, has been a ground ball inducing machine so far in this game.
Evidently, John, we were talking between innings. You had asked why was he getting so many ground balls, and we're going to show you why when we get a chance. I mean, he's got a good sinker working today.
Garcia-Parra got his base hit in the second inning, and that was a ground ball. And on another night might not have been a hit.
And you can see the difference. He was behind 2-0. He had to throw a straight fastball to get the strike. He's been able to stay ahead of hitters just enough to throw the sinker.
No swing. Bill Welke, the first base umpire, made the ruling on the appeal. 3-1 the count. Gary Cederstrom is the home plate umpire. 3-1 to Nomar. 3-2, and he swung at ball 4. That one sunk right out of the strike zone.
Well, obviously, Nomar thought he was going to get another fastball down the middle as he did 2-0, and he was sitting dead red, and he ended up chasing that one.
3-2. And he gets the walk. Second walk allowed by Victor Zambrano.
Let's take a look, John. We'll see why he's had so many ground ball outs in this ball game. Watch the location. Watch the movement of his pitches. The target's up. See the ball sink down under the strike zone. Target sinking again. Each time, watch where Piazza's going to reach down to get it. That tells you the ball is really moving, and you're just going to hit on top of it. There's not much you can do with that ball. You're not going to lift that ball in the air too often, especially when it's 89 to 90 miles an hour.
So here's Todd Hollingsworth. And there's a called strike. Well, when you see that movement,
that late movement,
and you see the results he's getting tonight, all of a sudden you say, well,
why?
Now I understand why they got him.
Yeah, but you also say, why hasn't he been more successful?
Yeah.
But we talked about that also. You know, consistency has been his problem.
One strike to Hollingsworth, who hit a double play ball his first time. Wow. Chased a real bad one there. 0-2 the count.
Well, that was an off-speed pitch, like a changeup, but it still went down.
I mean, when you're facing a guy with a sinker like that, I mean, there's certain things you have to discipline yourself against, right? I mean, as a hitter.
Correct.
And one of them is swinging at a pitch like Hollingsworth just. If it comes in at the knees, it's not going to be a strike.
Definitely. He chases another one. See, but he's got good movement. And again, it's late movement. There's a difference between a ball that moves 10 feet out in front of the plate and a ball that moves late. See that ball straight now, right there. See the ball, the bottom fall out of it late at the plate, not out in front, where you can read it.
Cubs have only hit one fair ball out of the infield. That was a shallow fly ball to left by Lawton, leading off the game.
Got one up again there.
They've hit a foul fly to left field that was caught by Cliff Floyd, and they've hit a foul ball, or really a pop-up that was fair to the catcher. Barrett caught it, or rather Piazza caught it. Actually, that was a foul ball to the catcher, Aramis Ramirez, the final out of the 4th inning. So even when they hit the ball in the air, they haven't hit it well, and that's been the real story, I guess, one way or the other. Mostly ground balls, but whatever they've hit, they haven't hit it hard. Here's Barrett on deck. The middle infield double play deck. Nobody out. That one's through the hole, a base hit. Well, Hollingsworth had a pretty determined at bat right there. Now let's check in the studio with Dave Revson. Here's the Sports Center 30-30 update.
John, Indiana native Tony Stewart wins the Brickyard for the first time in his career, captures the All-State 400. Fourth victory in the last 6 races, moves him into first place in the Nextel Cup standings. Dramatic ending between the Braves and Cards. David Eckstein, the walk-off grand slam. First one of those in the majors since Steve Finley's homer that clinched the NL West for the Dodgers in October. Rest of the action from the majors and 50-50 at Indiana after the game on SportsCenter.
All right, Dave. And there's ball one up and into Michael Barrett. 2 men on, nobody out. This is the second time now the Cubs have had 2 men on with nobody out. They had Ramirez and Nomar on base in the second, but Hollingsworth hit a double play ball to pretty well end that threat. That's a called strike to Barrett. Barrett grounded out with a runner at third to end the second inning. So he's got 2 men on right here. We mentioned Barrett hitting over 340 with runners in scoring position. Victor Zambrano, former American leaguer, came to the Mets late last year, only pitched briefly and then finished the year in the disabled list. That ball is smoked at third, and Wright looked at second. Nomar scurried back, then looked at first. Too late there for Hollingsworth.
Well, if you're Barrett, you say that's really bad luck because he hit the ball so sharply that if it's not right at right, it's a base hit. I mean, this ball's right to him, so he doesn't even have time to move. Just catches it off to the side and no chance for a double play. Good heads-up base running by Nomar and Hollingsworth.
It's David Wright out of Virginia. He grew up a Mets fan. The Mets AAA team has, for many years, been in Norfolk, Virginia. Strike one to Macias. Well, that's probably the best hit ball of the game for the Cubs.
You mentioned that you made a good point that Hollingsworth was determined that at bat he got the sinker. He went the other way. He was trying to pull the first 2 or 3 sinkers he had. Then he decided I'm going the other way with it, which was the proper thing to do in that at bat.
Now it's 1-1. The pitcher's spot is due up next, but the Cubs bullpen is busy. Roberto Novoa is warming up, and they have the veteran hitter, the left-handed batting, Todd Walker, out on deck. 4-0. The Mets lead in the 5th inning. This could be a double play. Zambrano to second one. Reyes to first. 2. An easy double play. Well, both times that Zambrano has been in a jam, he's gotten a double play grounder. Dusty Baker will be joining us from the Cubs dugout in 60 seconds. Stay tuned. Back with Dusty Baker after this.
You need a hand with that gear?
I got it.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you crying? No. There's no crying. There's no crying and shipping. My foreman, Larry Lakin, snapped a hamstring, hauling car batteries up 6 flights. Did he cry?
No.
No. And you know why? Because there is no crying and shipping. Now you pick that up, and you get out there, and you ship.
DHL, delivering America's pastime on time.
Start a new journey. Chart a new course. Go a new way. Discover the new Infinities at the Infinity Limited Engagement Summer Event. See your Infinity dealer for attractive lease and finance rates. But don't wait too long, because like summer, Infinity's limited engagement won't last forever.
We're in New York at Shea Stadium. The Cubs and Mets. The Mets lead 4-0. And Dusty Baker, the manager of the Chicago Cubs, has been kind enough to join us now from the Cubs dugout. Dusty, welcome to Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, well, they're not giving us much of a welcome here in New York. Thank you anyway, John.
Yeah, hey, Dusty, I mean, Zambrano has pitched great for you his last 5 or 6 starts. All of a sudden now he's out. Is there something wrong with him?
Yeah, well, he hurt his back that last long inning, and like he's had back problems on and off, and his back tightened up on him, and couldn't go anymore.
All right, now Dusty, Kerry Wood is back, but he's going to work out of the bullpen. And how are you going to employ him out of the bullpen?
Well, I'm going to try to start him off innings, hopefully somewhere between the 6th and the 9th, and, give him enough time to warm up because, he is a converted starter. This relieving is new to him, so we're just going to try to start him off, at the start of an inning.
All right, well, Dusty, many thanks for coming on with us, and I know this is not the easiest time, and as you say, the Mets have been awfully tough in your Cubs this weekend.
Yeah, you got that right. It's okay, man. We got 5 innings left, so we're going to get on them.
All right, that's Dusty Baker. Thanks, Dusty.
Always the optimist, right? And obviously that's the way it should be.
Well, the Mets are coming up now. Carlos Beltran, Cliff Floyd, and David Wright, the 3, 4, 5 spots in the order against Michael Wirtz, who's still out there. He was going to be lifted, apparently, for a pinch hitter. But Macias then hit an inning-ending double play, so Wirtz is still in. Beltran has not had a hit, but he scored 2 runs, and he set up a third. He helped set up a third. He reached on an error in the first inning with 2 down, then scored from first base on a single by Cliff Floyd, and got Floyd to second as he forced a throw that came through to the plate. He then walked in the third inning and scored another run. So he's one of the most productive 0 for 1s you'll ever see.
Well, it just tells you that sometimes statistics do not tell the whole story.
That's a ground ball into right field.
Now it looks better, though.
Well, he's been on base 3 straight times, and he's got a hit. Hit number 6 for the Mets in this game, and now the cleanup hitter, Cliff Floyd, is coming up. Let's take a look now at the Lowe's home team advantage, and the Mets. It's not all that surprising to see the Mets doing well here. They've beat a lot of teams at Shea Stadium this year. On the road, that's been a different story. 10 games below 500 on the road. They're going to have to keep winning here, and at some point they're going to start beating some teams when they're not at Shea. Floyd's got a base hit. He might have broken his bat. I think he did. It snapped in 2. Beltran now's going for third, and he makes it. He had stopped and then restarted, and Hollingsworth still couldn't throw him out. Hollingsworth juggled it a little bit, and that's all Beltran needed to restart and take off.
Well, you know what was great about that, John? He has stopped right here, and then Hollingsworth bobbles the ball. He threw it in the gear very quickly again. Now watch him when he comes around the bag. He stopped right there. Now he just picks it up. He pushes off of the bag and takes off. And that's aggressive base running, because once you have stopped, and there's obviously the reaction of Dusty Baker, because he's seen the outfield play here in this series cost him some valuable bases and runs.
Now here's David Wright. That's a single and an error charge to Todd Hollingsworth. David Wright, the hitter, 2 low from Wirtz. Wright has singled home a run, and he's also gotten an RBI on a sacrifice fly. And he's 1 for 1, 2 batted in for Wright.
And his success so far in the 5th hole is really going to build his confidence, because this guy is a good hitter. I think he's going to be a really good player as well.
Joe, going back to Hollingsworth and the error he just made.
Yeah.
It seemed like such a simple play, but he may have had a little anxiety thinking he had to hurry because Beltran was the runner.
Well, I agree with that, but, I just think concentration says I have to catch the ball first. That's just something that you have to do.
Well, and as fate would have it, Beltran was not even looking at moving up. He didn't even round second. He was slowing up right at second base. But Hollingsworth, unaware of that, may have rushed it a little bit, but he just didn't pick it up.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. We talked about the fact that Mets steal a few bases, and they have several guys in double figures, and they force the action. That's what Willie Randolph wanted. Remember, we talked about that in spring training. They wanted to be aggressive on the bases.
1 ball, 1 strike to Wright. That slider to third base. Ramirez, tough play,
nice,
and he got him. Wright made a head-first dive, and he's out, but Beltran scores. Floyd goes into second, and David Wright gets his 3rd RBI of the game.
I tell you what, you will not see a better play than that by third baseman. First he was hoping it would go foul, and it's not going to go foul, so he has to come get it. Look at his momentum is taking it toward the dugout, and he has to make a strong, off-balance, accurate throw, and he does that. That's an excellent play. I mean, the weird part is we saw him make a throwing error in the first inning that cost him. Now he makes a great play and a great throw on this play.
Now Cameron, runner at second base, 5-0 Mets. Hard slider. 0-1 to Cameron.
And John, we've talked about it a lot of times, guys diving into first base. You know, running through the bag gets you there quicker. I've never seen Carl Lewis dive at the tape. You get there quicker by running through the bag, not to the bag. But it was still an excellent play by Ramirez.
Well, I mean, when you're running to first base, the only time that would really work out is if the guy comes off the bag. But you have to kind of have an inkling that he's about to do that, right?
But what happened there really was David Wright looked back, and when he was looking back, I think that's what caused him to dive. He was looking at third base to see what was happening.
There's another one. 0-2 the count to Cameron.
But we're going to show you a point. We talked about, you know, Willie Randolph moving him up into, you know, the RBI position, 5th place. Now, when you're hitting those RBI positions, you don't always have to get base hits to drive in runs. You have to put the ball in play. Now, we've seen him do that. You know, he's got 1 base hit. He's got 3 RBIs, a sacrifice fly, and 1 on a ground ball. When you hit in that RBI position, a lot of times all you have to do is make sure you put the ball in play. That's why it's an RBI position. You get more chances.
That's made it pretty easy for him tonight as Cameron is down on strikes.
But that's why certain positions are RBI positions. You know, you're going to have more chances. You don't always drive in runs just with base hits. You know, guys that hit 4th and drive in 130 runs, they drive in a lot of them with sacrifice flies or ground balls to the infield. And you're in that position for that reason. And that's how you pick up a lot of RBIs.
Well, he's had 2 runners at third with less than 2 down. Where you don't need a hit to get an RBI. And he's gotten the RBI both times. I mean, it's amazing how often guys don't get the RBI.
Correct.
On that play. And sometimes it's really a change in philosophy.
Right.
I mean, it's not just trying to hit the ball hard somewhere. I mean, he didn't hit the ball well at all this last time and got the run home.
But just put the ball in play. I think that's the key. A lot of times guys are still trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and they do not get the job done with a runner at third in less than 2 outs.
We will be talking with manager Willie Randolph of the Mets between innings after the Mets go down. Mike Piazza trying to keep the inning going here. Off the end of the bat, waiting for it is Lawton. And that is the inning. First time Piazza's been retired. He had a walk and an RBI single earlier. Willie Randolph of the Mets out in front 5-0 in 60 seconds. Willie Randolph from the dugout.
In the quiet town of Agrestic, where everyone knows everyone's business.
Did you ever say anything about our sex life?
The guys who still have sex with their wives usually don't want to jinx it.
Single mom Nancy Botwin has a big secret.
I was wondering if
Some really nice stuff in here, Doug. Kind of expensive, but worth every penny.
Newsweek.com raves the most talked about comedy in ages. Weeds. Special preview tonight at 11. Only on Showtime.
Sweet picture. It's a plasma.
Yeah, it's Adele. Hey, have a seat. Make yourself at home, okay?
That's a nice plasma.
The Dell Plasma TV. At this price, you can hug your own. Right now, order the award-winning 42-inch HD Dell Plasma TV for just $27.99. Plus, get free shipping. And right now, pay no interest until 2007 for well-qualified customers. Just call or go online now to get more out of now.
Mets 5, Cubs nothing. Top of the 6th, Shea Stadium, New York. And Willie Randolph, the manager of the Mets, now joins us from the home dugout here at Shea. Willie, welcome.
How you doing, guys? Hey, Willie, starting yesterday, I watched your guys aggressive on the bases. I know that's one thing that you worked on in spring training, preaching aggressiveness on the bases. It seems to me that you guys are trying to take the extra base on the Cubs outfield. Is there something that you've noticed or what?
Well, no, we try to take advantage of every opportunity, Joe. We have preached in spring training that we're going to be aggressive, take it to the opposition. And, you know, my guys are ready to go. You know, we preach it every day, and they've been doing a great job responding to that.
Now, Willie, Mike Piazza has started hitting 7th a few times this week. I mean, that's not an easy thing for a guy headed to the Hall of Fame to move down to 7th. Did you talk to him about it?
Well, it just means we have a pretty good lineup. I mean, Mike Piazza still can hit. He's a Hall of Famer. And, yeah, I talk to Mike all the time. He's been great this year, and he's been a big part of our ball club.
All right, and your young guys, I mean, Wright looking like the quintessential RBI man tonight, huh?
Yeah, well, David's been doing a great job for us all year. He's learning how to hit, and he's going to get better. I mean, he just knows how to, use the strike zone and hits the ball the other way real well also.
All right, Willie, we're going to let you get back to work. Many thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Willie Randolph, manager of the Mets. He's a foul out of play by Ronnie Cedeno, pinch hitting for Michael Wirtz.
He made a great point there that I wanted to expound on. He said that he's learning how to hit. Remember, that's one of the things he told us early in the year. He said he was going to let Reyes learn how to hit before he tried to make him into a leadoff type hitter taking pitches. He said it's tough enough to learn to hit in the big leagues, let alone trying to learn to do something that maybe you're not, going to end up doing. So both he and Wright are learning to hit here in the big leagues.
In fact, Wright had some comments, I think, that we have on videotape about the importance of Willie Randolph for him.
Yeah.
And how often after a game Randolph will sit with him and talk about not just the things that he didn't do well, but the things that he did do well. At second base, there is Cairo, and he throws out Cedeno. One away here in the 6th inning. And let's listen in now as Wright talks about his manager, Willie Randolph, and his relationship with him.
It's great for him to call me in the office after a game and go over the things I did right, go over the things I did wrong. He especially looks out for the younger guys on the team, myself and Jose Reyes. He wants to make sure we learn the game. He wants to make sure that hopefully both of us are around here for a long time and we get a chance to get a lot of wins together.
Very well explained, doesn't it? I mean, he wants us to learn the game together. And
Matt Lawton, and at second base, Cairo. Another ground ball induced by Victor Zambrano.
John, I played in the big leagues a long time, and the first time a guy ever kept a chart and brought guys in after the game, giving them pluses or minuses or talking to guys was Frank Robinson. When I was with San Francisco, he would, if a guy made a great play that maybe didn't show up on the scorecard or show book, he'd bring the guy in and tell him, hey, that was a great play going from first to third in that situation, or maybe that wasn't a good play to try it in that situation. Whatever, he would talk to you and kind of grade you, so to speak, after the game, and I thought that was great. And Willie Randolph, obviously does the same thing, and I think that's important.
And that's a fastball in there for a called strike to Neifi Perez. Derek Lee would be next. 5-0. The Mets lead in the 6th.
In those years when I was not real bright, I was thinking about being a manager. I was thinking that's what I would want to do if I was going to manage. Have a way of communicating with the guys every day. Good, bad, indifferent, or whatever. Just to keep them thinking about the game and think about how to improve yourself.
Well, I mean, it helps when you've got a young guy who is eager to learn what you have to teach.
And remember, Derek Jeter gives Willie Randolph a lot of credit for when he first came up with the Yankees. Willie Randolph was a coach there helping him as a young player. So this is not the first time. Willie knows how to deal with these young players, meaning Reyes and David Wright, who are, very young. So it's great. And when I talked to him before the game, he kind of said, what they do, they bring a lot of enthusiasm to the ball game park every day. And a little of that rubs off on some of my veterans as well.
The right field line, a base hit to the outfield for Neifi Perez. Only the third hit of the game for the Cubs. 2 men on, and Derek Lee is coming up now. And here's Sam Ryan.
Well, John, Joe had mentioned Derek Jeter speaking about Willie Randolph. He specifically told me a month ago that he's sure Jose Reyes and David Wright are gaining a wealth of knowledge from him. Jose told me today that Willie can relate to him as a leadoff hitter and kept telling him to have fun out there and relax when he was struggling leading off. While defensively, he said the most important thing he's learned from Willie, slow down. Jose said sometimes he'll throw too fast and can overthrow, throw it away. So he says he talks to Willie every day, before, after games, during, all the time. It's very important to him.
All right. Thanks, Sam. And Derek Lee, the hitter, and he takes a called strike with a slider, ended his 0-1. So both Reyes and Wright, the two young guys, and really a kind of a foundation for the Mets for many years to come, these two guys. And that's something that maybe wasn't brought out that much when Willie Randolph was hired for this job. But he was a coach for the Yankees for a long time. 1994, he began coaching with the Yankees, so he was there when Jeter first came up, and he had a lot of knowledge to impart. Willie Randolph was a thinking man, second baseman.
And I tell you what, it did go into the hiring, because I remember I asked Omar Minaya, who hired him, why did he hire him? And a lot of those things did come out. That, he was a New Yorker, so he knew how to handle the media here. He knew what it was going to be like, so he's a New Yorker, and he knows baseball, and he knows how to work with young people. So, and I'm sure there were other things too, but those are a couple of the things that he told me when I asked him why Willie Randolph instead of someone else.
Willie Randolph, who figures he must have interviewed at least 12 times for managers' jobs over the years. And that hard slider, bounce foul by Derek Lee. Lee, who has grounded out twice in this game and has only 1 hit in 10 at-bats in this series. Randolph broke into the majors in 1975 with the Yankees, played for 18 years, not always with the Yankees.
That member of only 3 losing teams. Man, that's a pretty good career.
Yeah. You get a lot of World Series rings.
Yeah. A lot of wins.
1-2 the count to Derek Lee. And that is off the glove of Piazza to the backstop. Nafi Perez moves over to second base.
And that's definitely a wild pitch.
So you're not blaming that one on Piazza?
No, that was a wild pitch.
I don't know. I thought he could have moved a little quicker, Joe.
that was a wild pitch. And Derek Lee is trying to lay off of this sinker. You said ball turns over, just sinks, and Piazza gets out there. Actually tried to backhand it. It bounces away.
Okay, wild pitch.
All right, we agree on that.
I've seen it now. It's like 12 feet outside. That's a wild pitch. 2-2 to Lee. He's been the big man for the Cubs. One of the best in the game this year. Jammed it. He's been working everything away, and all of a sudden he jammed it with that fastball. It's 2-2. Lee fought it off with Ramirez on deck. I mean, these are the guys that deliver the runs for the Cubs, Lee and Ramirez.
Well, and definitely different Derek Lee. Last year they could jam him with that pitch. But the one thing to remember, this is a real crucial at bat, not just for Lee, but it's 5-0. If you can get a run home, you show the pitcher that you can hurt him. It changes his philosophy out there on the mound. It changes his confidence.
Down and in. Now it's 3-2.
So far, his confidence has to be sky high because you haven't been able to score any runs off of it.
Well, if Lee can do something here with Ramirez coming up, all of a sudden you might get 3 home in this inning.
And as Dusty said, I mean, it's still a long way to go.
Perez at second. 2 down. 3-2 to Derek Lee.
Good pitch.
Center field, Beltran easing to his left. That's the inning.
Up and in.
Victor Zambrano, after his worst start, tonight he has been superb. 5-0, the Mets lead.
Hot. Spicy.
Excuse me? Want something spicy? Taco Bell is open late. Feed your need for all the spicy, grilled, marinated, crunchy, and melty taste you can only get at Taco Bell. Want to spice up the night? Think outside the bun. Open till 1 a.m. or later.
Just a reminder, not all of our national treasures are found in a museum. Easy drinking Busch Light. Busch. Head for the mountains of Busch.
Mother Nature can be harsh on your car. That's why there's Rain-X. From windshield treatment to wax, everything you need to weatherproof your vehicle.
Thank you, guys. What a weekend. Awesome time. Thank you.
Hey, you're marrying a great girl, buddy. Seriously.
Yeah, she is a great girl who would not approve of one single thing we just did.
Isn't that your...
Well, That's gonna make an interesting toast.
Log on to MLB.com to follow baseball live on the web with MLB.com's real-time stats, game day audio, and MLB.tv. MLB.com, where baseball is always on.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Brought to you by Paramount Pictures' new film, Four Brothers. Friday, August 12th, in theaters only. Rated R.
Shea Stadium, New York. And look at the crowd, and a happy Mets crowd so far. They lead 5-0. Major League Baseball Boys and Girls Clubs of America and Cure Search Childhood Cancer Foundation have teamed up for the 2005 Commissioners Initiative for Kids, courtesy of AmeriQuest. 1 million tickets have been distributed in each market, while a $1 million donation by AmeriQuest will go to Cure Search and the Boys and Girls Clubs. For details, visit MLB.com. The Commissioners Initiative for Kids. There is the tall right-hander, a hard thrower, Roberto Novoa. And a fastball is up and away to Marlon Anderson, the 8th place hitter for the Mets. Victor Zambrano, the pitcher, on deck, and then Jose Reyes due up 3rd in the inning. The Mets are leading 5-0. And for 2 days now, they have shut down the tag team run-producing tandem of Lee and Ramirez, and they have shut down the Cubs. The Cubs have not scored since Friday night. And that ball misses. 3-0.
Well, if you look at the Cubs, they need some more bats. I mean, if you just look, they've been riding on, Ramirez and Derek Lee, and that's why they added Matt Lawton in the outfield. He can run a little bit, he can hit, and that's why Nomar Garcia-Pars is going to be very important. But again, it's just going to take him time to get his timing back. You can't just sit out as long as he has, walk back out there and be a 350 hitter.
Right center field, Macias. And that's out number 1. Well, we mentioned the commissioner coming into this inning, and of course the commissioner's office suspended Rafael Palmeiro, the mandatory 10-day suspension for testing positive for steroids. Although baseball doesn't announce it, we've seen things in the papers saying what he was tested positive for. Palmeiro started that suspension last Monday.
Well, it's interesting because there's been a leak to say what the actual steroid was, whereas the other players who are suspended, we don't know exactly what it was. And
Winstraw, they say.
Yeah, I actually think that it creates more problems when you do not tell, because some guys, it may have been an accident. It may have been in something that they had bought, because a lot of the guys who have tested positive, are from a different country, and sometimes over there, some of those things aren't banned by the FDA or whatever. So, in that way, some guys, it could be an accident, I guess is the point. And other players, it isn't an accident. We need to know which ones it could be and which ones are not.
Victor Zambrano down on strikes. Navarro blows it by him. 2 men gone. Now, the other part of it is, Rafael Palmeiro, who seems headed for the Hall of Fame, 500-plus home runs, 3,000 hits, certainly has some credentials for it. Now, these Hall of Famers. Frank Robinson came out and before Palmeiro tested positive, made a comment that one of these guys test positive. That Frank thought that all of their home runs and RBIs ought to be just erased in terms of qualifying for Hall of Fame consideration. So there's one great Hall of Famer who came out pretty strongly. A lot of the other Hall of Famers, they don't talk about it a whole lot, but I know that when you're with them behind closed doors, that they have definite opinions about it.
Well, first of all, obviously I can't speak, for the other guys, and I don't want to. And I haven't anointed myself as the keeper of the flame or anything like that, because I am definitely I'm still part of that flame, part of the baseball culture. I think the problem that I have is that a lot of these great players, their legacies are being overshadowed by this era. And a lot of them can't say anything. They don't want to, because, if they say something that looks like sour grapes, well, somebody's breaking my record because blah, blah, blah.
But I personally think that they should speak out. If you have something to say, go ahead and say it. You have a right to say it. You've earned the right to say it. You're a Major League Baseball player. And this game doesn't just belong to the players who are playing today. It belongs to the players who played before and the players who will follow. So if you have something to say, I think they should say it. And not worry about people thinking it's sour grapes or whatever.
3 up and 3 down inning. Jose Reyes retired. Aramis Ramirez, Cubs slugger, coming up. The Mets lead 5-0.
So the Dodgers are down to their last out. Game 1 of the World Series. And look who's coming up. Kirk Gibson with 2 bad legs. You talk about a roll of the dice. This is it. High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
With 100% whole grain, low fat, and fiber, the Breakfast of Champions brings out the champion in you.
The impossible has happened.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Century 21 agents won't leave you to fend for yourself to sell your home. They're committed to finding as many qualified buyers as possible. To find out more, visit century21.com.
When you hit the road, you expect your car to perform well. But if your engine isn't clean, it may not perform at its best. Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline can help. It actively cleans your engine for better performance. So, no matter where you're going, with Shell V-Power, you'll be able to enjoy the performance. Shell V-Power actively cleans for better performance.
I'll take the red one, please.
Dad! Dad!
Treat yourself to the best values of the year at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event.
Introducing the new X Games inspired Moto X bike. Built for performance, 20-inch BMX dual suspension, front and rear disc brakes, and Moto X style saddle and fenders. Ride Moto X style.
Aramis Ramirez leads off for the Cubs. 7th inning, the sinker baller. Victor Zambrano delivers low for ball 1. Ramirez has walked and fouled out to the catcher. Nomar Garcia-Parra on deck, and then Todd Hollinsworth due up third. Zambrano has allowed only 3 hits in this game. And that is ball 2. Now, Joe, we had a quick completion of that 6th inning, but we were talking about Palmeiro being suspended. And, I mean, Palmeiro's going to be back. This suspension will be over. He'll be eligible to play on Thursday. Now, that's the end of that's the total penalty, which, of course, the commissioner has proposed making it a stricter penalty. I think, what does the commissioner want? 50 games? Yeah, right, for the first such offense. You see Palmeiro and his numbers this year and in his career. Now, that would be, number one, that would be quite a penalty. And it would be a penalty for the player and for his team. And it would have sweeping ramifications. The second part of it is, as you wrote in your column on ESPN.com this week, and I thought it was a very interesting, thought-provoking column and thoughtful column.
Thank you.
But Palmeiro will have served the penalty and would then still be eligible to go in the Hall of Fame after 5 years of retirement as an active player, whereas Pete Rose remains on the banished list. And you had some very strong thoughts on, well, if a guy who was proven, tested positive, proven to use steroids, proven to be a cheater and bring infamy on the game, then why should Pete Rose not be eligible for the Hall of Fame if that player is eligible?
Yeah, well, my point wasn't particularly about Palmeiro, as you know. I said if anyone, including Palmeiro, tests positive for steroids and they're allowed to go into the Hall of Fame, then why wouldn't Pete Rose be eligible? And, you know, there's a lot of ways of looking at this. And remember, I was one of the first guys that said Pete Rose should be punished. I remember that because I felt he should, because he had hurt the game. The difference is Pete Rose hurt himself more. The guys that are doing steroids, or this steroid era, all the things that are going on, this is really hurting the game on a daily basis. This is hurting what happens on the field, whereas Pete was off the field and hurt himself. And again, I'm not condoning what he did. I'm only saying if you're going to let guys in who are breaking the rules, then you have to look at Pete Rose as well.
So in other words, as Nomar flies out to shallow center, 2 down in the inning, you're not campaigning for Pete Rose to go to the Hall of Fame now or to be made eligible. You're saying something entirely different. More about guys who test positive for these banned substances, steroids.
Right. I guess the point is Pete Rose has the numbers to go in. Yeah. We know that. We feel that way anyway. And some of these guys will have numbers to go in. And we're not talking just about Palmeiro. We're talking about anyone. I want to make that clear. Anyone who tests positive in the future or whatever. I think that's the way it should be handled.
But as it is right now, when it comes time for Palmeiro, unless more things come out or baseball conducts an investigation and turns up more evidence against Palmeiro, the sum total of his penalty will be over when this suspension is over.
And Pete's been ongoing for 16 years.
7th inning stretch, and here's Sam Ryan.
And John, this week's Sunday night sound check. Hey, a band that hails from Massachusetts, their name Stained. And as we learned, they weren't so successful playing baseball growing up, so they learned to watch it.
Hey, I'm Mike Mushak, guitar player for the band Stained. I was kind of a late bloomer as a baseball fan. I met up with Todd Jones, and he was a big fan of the band. And ended up kind of following, what he was doing, and next thing you knew, I was watching baseball all the time.
Hi, I'm John Wysocki. I'm the drummer for the band Stained. Baseball has been around for so long. You see pictures way, way back, and, people would show up in their Sunday clothes to go see a baseball game.
When I was a kid, I did play baseball for like 2 years, but I was terrible. And the whole time I was there, I was like, I should go home and practice guitar.
Pitcher, he feels comfortable with the ball in his hand standing on the mound. Being a drummer, I'm most comfortable sitting behind a drum kit and playing. Whether you're playing in front of 25 people or you're playing in front of 25,000 people.
I love the rivalry between the Red Sox and the Yankees. I just never thought I'd get so emotional over a sporting event. When the Yankees lose, I get excited. When the Red Sox win, I get excited.
Stained making its mark. It's the Cubs and the Mets, bottom of the 7th, when we come back on Sunday Night Baseball.
Introducing NFL Sunday Ticket Superfan. A new premium tier package for NFL Sunday Ticket subscribers, featuring Game Mix, 8 live games on a single screen. The Red Zone channel, real-time highlights featuring the biggest plays from around the league as they happen. Shortcuts, every game replayed in 30 minutes or less, and over 100 NFL games in high def. NFL Sunday Ticket Superfan, just another example of how DirecTV is rethinking the way you watch football.
An immortal. A showstopper. Partners with a mutual respect. Shattered by betrayal. The legend, the icon, for the first time ever. Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels. 1-on-1. SummerSlam, live Sunday, August 21st on DirecTV pay-per-view. Immortality has a price.
Trade in your boring breakfast for Dan and Fruit.
Have a corn muffin.
Give me that and try this fruit. Real fruit and yogurt, perfectly blended into the ultimate smoothie.
That's a smoothie.
It's good, huh? Dan and Fruit, the real smoothie in a bottle.
Your SUV is designed to go off-road, but sometimes the off-road comes to you.
Introducing the new Goodyear Forterra with silent armor technology, made with SUV drivers in mind. A layer made with Kevlar means the Forterra is tough and rugged, and extra cushioning means the Forterra rides quietly and comfortably. The new Goodyear Forterra with silent armor technology. Go confidently on the wings of Goodyear.
And with that, you feel that?
How about this? What do you think? You feel that?
No. That's so cool.
Wild.
Sunday Night Baseball from New York. And here are the Mets now in the last of the seventh against Roberto Novoa, and a foul into the seats by Miguel Cairo. Carlos Beltran and Cliff Floyd will follow. 5 runs, 7 hits for the Mets. No runs, 3 hits, and 2 errors for the Cubs. 3 of the Mets' 5 runs are unearned runs. But the speed of the Mets, and in one case just the threat of the speed, perhaps, led to those 2 errors.
I don't think there's any doubt that they, as you said, one was a forced error and the other was forced because of the speed. You know, one, he just forced them to make the mistake by putting the pressure on them. The other, they thought they had perceived pressure.
1 ball, 1 strike to Cairo. And the speed's a big part of the Mets game. They lead the National League in base stealing as a team. With 102 steals, they've only been caught 26 times. They have had the speed that's helped them create some runs tonight, although they have not stolen a single base. That is just foul. How do you know? 2 balls, 2 strikes now to Miguel Cairo. Mets got 2 in the first, 2 in the third, and 1 in the fifth. There is Jose Reyes, who has not stolen a base tonight, really hadn't even been part of the scoring. And that's going to go foul down the right field line. The guy has been in the middle of all the scoring action tonight has been Carlos Beltran. He has scored 3 runs, and he's helped set up a 4th run.
And truthfully, that's the type of player he is. I mean, he can fill up a scoreboard, a scorebook, as they say. He can do a lot of different things. He has speed, he can run, he can play defense. All those things are the reason. A lot of people fell in love with all the home runs in October and thought that's what he was all about. But he's about more than just hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He's a complete player. And now that he's healthy, he's showing that.
Into center field, Macias hustles over to cut it off. And now Beltran comes up. 2nd hit of the game for Cairo. That was quite a determined at bat by Cairo. And Jerry Manuel, the first base coach, talking it over. Beltran is coming up now. And he kind of turned the game around with a ground ball to third in the first inning. That turned into a throwing error by Aramis Ramirez. You see, Beltran, he's only hit over 300 twice in his career. Last year's the only time he ever hit 30-plus home runs. He's had 100 RBIs 5 times. That's been a regular part of his game.
Right, and that's a good statistic. And he's stolen 30 bases sometimes, so 4 times. So, I mean, those are the things that he does. He steals bases. He drives in runs. He scores runs.
That's a double play ball. Perez, the second one. Nomar to first. A double play. And they're booing Beltran. You bum! What's the matter with you?
Yeah. I don't think they like double plays. And there is one fan that's more knowledgeable to know that he's responsible for 3 of those 5 runs up there, as you said. Yeah, I don't think they like the double plays. I think that's the thing.
2 down, nobody on. Here's Cliff Floyd. Well, it's just like the late, great Harry Carey, longtime Hall of Fame baseball broadcaster, finished his career with the Cubs. The guy was making big money, and he hit a double play ball or popped up with the baseball. Harry was like the first one, like, oh, what's the matter with it? Cliff Floyd, deep. That one into the bullpen. Number 26 for Cliff Floyd. 6-0 Mets. The 3rd hit of the game for Floyd.
as you mentioned, John, Floyd has been having a great season all year long, and they just need a little more production from some of these other corner outfielders, and they get hot, and who knows how far this Mets team can go. Because I think they're getting better, especially with these young players like Reyes and Wright. That was a fastball pretty much belt high. Looked like it was middle of the plate. And a lot of these hitters can do that with a ball belt high in the middle of the plate.
So the big fly. He's got 2 RBIs. That was his 70th RBI of the year. As David Wright comes up. Wright, who has 3 RBIs in this game. You know, that was a big fly, but the big hit by Floyd was that first inning single. Right. And it came in, I don't know, maybe the 10th pitch or so of that at bat, a marathon at bat against Carlos Zambrano. And he just battled and battled and battled, and finally just hit a ground ball through the middle that scored Beltran all the way from first base. But the combination of Beltran's speed, his ability to do that, to score from first, and the fact that Floyd just gave such a battle to Zambrano and refused to yield and got that hit. It's been all Mets ever since, as Wright goes down for the first time tonight, strike 3. Now we head to the 8th inning. Barrett, Macias, and the pitcher spot due up. Cliff Floyd goes deep. The only extra base hit by either team tonight at Shea.
Man, this thing is smunchy. Smunchy? Soft, melty, crunchy. It's smunchy.
I'm thinking Craffelty. Crunchy, soft, melty.
No, it's more about crunchy, chewy, cheesy. How about crunchy, wheezy? I love you.
Awkward.
I love you.
Taco Bell's Cheesy Gordita Crunch. Warm flatbread covered in 3 melted cheeses, wrapped around a crunchy taco and topped with a zesty pepper jack sauce. For a textural taste sensation, think outside the bun.
That's not tough enough to stop athlete's foot. Hit that with boom, tough actin Tinactin. Tinactin's the only one proven to prevent athlete's foot. Lamisil can't say that. Get boom, tough actin Tinactin.
There are good ideas. There are great ideas. Then there are ideas that meet a higher standard. And those are the only ideas that make it into our trucks and SUVs. GMC Professional Grade Engineering. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to.
Mother Nature can be harsh on your car. That's why there's Rain-X. From windshield treatment to wax, everything you need to weatherproof your vehicle.
Sports are great for a kid's body. Steroids aren't. They can ruin tendons in legs and arms. Steroids can stunt bone growth and increase the chances of liver cancer, heart attack, and stroke. Steroids don't make great athletes. They destroy them. Talk to your kids. Need help? Get help. Visit drugfree.org.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
Over at Shea Stadium, New York, Mr. Met. And it's all happy times for the Mets this weekend. They have a 6-0 lead tonight as Michael Barrett leads off for the Cubs. And they need 6 outs more to complete a sweep of the Cubs this weekend. They were tied with each other, each with a record of 500 coming into the weekend. And of course, both of them hoping to play catch up in the wild card race. The Mets got some help when they won Friday and again yesterday. They gained a game each day on first place Houston in the wild card division, because the San Francisco Giants defeated Houston both of those days. Houston, back at Roger Clemens, won today out in San Francisco. So the Mets need a win to keep pace. The Cubs, meanwhile, will be 6 out in the wild card race, with 6 teams in front of them with a loss here tonight. And speaking of San Francisco, as Barrett now with a count of 2-2. There's a controversy that began in San Francisco earlier this week on radio station KMBR, the station that carries Giants baseball out there. talk show host from KMBR, Larry Krueger, made some inflammatory comments about the Giants and a racial comment that incurred the wrath of Felipe Alou. And we've heard the same thing here at Shea tonight.
Right, people coming up talking about it.
Knowing that we came in from the Bay Area. Barrett rips one. That's a fair ball into the left field corner. And that's going to be the first extra base hit of the game for the Chicago Cubs. On to the 4th hit of the night for the Cubs against Victor Zambrano. The original quote from Wednesday night from Larry Krueger on KMBR. I cannot watch this brand of baseball any longer. A truly awful, pathetic old team that only promises to be worse. 2 years from now, it's just awful. It's bad to watch. Brain-dead Caribbean hitters hacking at slop nightly. And he also said to Felipe Alou, his mind has turned to cream of wheat. But Felipe was not told about the brain-dead Caribbean hitters comment until Friday, at which point he was very angry. In the right center field. That one is going to be extra bases. Cameron cuts it off. Macias heading for second as Barrett heads for the plate. Barrett scores and Macias has a double. And for the first time since Friday, the Cubs offense produces a run. They had been shut out for 17 consecutive innings until Macias' RBI double hitter ended as 6-1. Now Matt Merton is going to come up as a pinch hitter. Anyway, Felipe Alou had a comment Friday at SBC Park in San Francisco. I never heard of anything like that here in San Francisco. Talking about the racial comment. I heard them in the South and some other cities, but not here. It tells me that a man like me and the Latin guys have to be aware it's not over yet, or it is coming back.
Yeah, I think that last one is troubling. Is it coming back?
Well, then there was the question of would he accept the apology. Larry Krueger was then suspended by KMBR. He was not fired, but suspended without pay for a week. And that also was disconcerting to Felipe Alou, who said after he learned that he was suspended for a week, I know this individual came to apologize to me. Are you kidding? There is no way to apologize for that kind of thing. If I say I accept it, the Latin players will never forgive me. But he went on to say that this wasn't just offensive to him and to the Giants players from the Caribbean, but offensive to millions and millions of people. And we heard it tonight. Players of Hispanic descent coming up to us without us even bringing it up, wanting to know what was going on, what was being done about it. Was the guy going to be fired? Was it all going to just be brushed under the rug?
And the difficult part is, like I say, we were the ones they came to because we were coming in from the West Coast, and they were aware that they knew we were aware of the situation. And a couple of guys said it had not been a big enough national story, but ESPN had run some things because that's where I first saw it.
Matt Merton, who came with Nomar in that trade last year that sent Orlando Cabrera eventually to Boston. And Matt Merton, a guy they think could end up being a legitimate big league slugger. But he pops out this time. Merton, who in the big leagues this year was hitting .417 in 36 previous at-bats. So one out, and now Matt Lawton will come up. Anyway, that's sort of the quick version of the story that's been simmering out in San Francisco.
And we don't know if it's over yet because my take of knowing Felipe Alou as I do, I mean, he's a man of principles. He's not just going to let it die.
Matt Lawton retired. Over to third base goes Macias. Now let's check in with the studio. Here's Dave Revson with the SportsCenter 30 and 30 update.
Thank you, John. Wayne Gretzky, the NHL's all-time leading scorer, will try his hand at coaching. The great one will take over the Phoenix Coyotes, been serving as the team's managing partner. And Indiana native Tony Stewart wins at the Brickyard for the first time in his career, capturing the All-State 400. Fourth victory in the last 6 races, moves him into first place in the Nextel Cup standings. 50 and 50 at the Brickyard, plus all the action for the majors. SportsCenter after the game. Guys.
All right, Dave, thanks. And here is Neifi Perez. Now, if Neifi can get on, the Cubs could get a little more serious about doing something major here in the 8th inning. But Neifi is not going to get on, it appears. Anderson And the put out by Zambrano, and that's the inning. Scott Williamson heating up in the Cubs bullpen. Just recently back for the disabled list, so apparently he'll be coming on. Last of the 8, 6-0, 6-1 Mets.
I knew he'd come in handy someday.
I'm State Farm agent Ephraim Sanchez, and this is a true story.
I never knew that his good grades would save us money on car insurance.
I never knew he could get good grades.
He cheated.
He had a tutor.
When I found out about Mark's grades, I got him a good student discount.
Dad, if you get me a car, we could get another discount.
Mark's getting a car?
That's so not fair.
More drivers get more discounts from State Farm than anybody else. See what a State Farm agent could save you today.
Like a good neighbor.
State Farm is there.
Sharp multifunction products transform the office by adding enhanced color to your documents. Then Sharp technology doubled your productivity by scanning two-sided documents in a single pass. Now Sharp's Data Security Kit is transforming the office again by preventing unauthorized access to information while keeping sensitive digital documents from falling into the wrong hands. The Sharp Digital Imager Series, all the productivity you want, all the document security you need.
There's an easy way to save even more at Motel 6. Just book online at motel6.com. You can't miss. Motel 6, official lodging partner of the PBA.
We want to make sure that you're right for our daughter. Are you safe? Reliable?
Don't buy a used car without a Carfax history report. Now with the buyback guarantee. For details, ask your dealer or go to Carfax.com.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, along with Sam Ryan, your Sunday night telecasters on Pedro Martinez bobblehead doll night. And there's one of the same. And it looks like a pretty happy fan to have his Pedro Martinez bobblehead. Pedro, who has gone 12-3 for the Mets this year. 157 innings pitched, 107 hits allowed. The batting average against Pedro this year is 190.
Well, not only has he pitched well, John, he's given them that star power. I mean, you know, that they have on the other side. The Mets, you know, the Yankees have all the star power in New York. Well, Pedro is a star. Yeah. And when he pitches, the fans are all excited. I mean, he has really helped. The attendance is up over 300,000 people this year from last year. So some of the additions have definitely, you know, brought more people out. And I know that, you know, Omar Minaya, when he wanted Pedro, that's, you know, wasn't just his pitching, but the guy brings a presence with him.
Plus, I mean, Pedro has 12 wins. He might have had 3 or 4 more if the bullpen had been better at holding leads that he handed over to them.
Well, we've done 2 games. Opening day we did. They gave up the lead. Last game he left with a lead. He had the Yankees in the first game of the series here. He had them down by 3 in the 8th. He lost that game. They lost that game. So, I mean, that's 3 games right there that he left with the lead as late as the 8th inning, 7th and 8th inning.
You can think of 3 and you're not even trying.
Yeah, and I don't watch him every day.
Mike Cameron, a base hit to right field. Cameron needed one. He had gone 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Now let's go down to Sam Ryan.
Well, John and Joe, you're mentioning how Pedro brings the fans to the seat here at Shea Stadium. The Mets reached the 2 million mark in attendance this weekend. They were telling me when Pedro Martinez pitches, they draw an extra 5,000 to 6,000 when he's on the mound. Not pitching tonight. You showed the bobblehead. The first 12,000 kids here tonight walk away with that, so you know they were showing up to get that Pedro likeness tonight.
All right, Sam, and so there was 39,000 in his starts and a little under 34,000 in all the other games. There's a called strike 1 to Mike Piazza. Piazza has walked. He's knocked in a run with a single, and he's flied out to left. 6-1, the Mets lead. You know, we're talking about the effect of Pedro Martinez coming to the Mets, and his former teammate with the Red Sox is on the mound right here, Scott Williamson, in relief as Piazza flies out to shallow center. But the Red Sox are an interesting story right now because unlike the last 7 years where they always finished second to the Yankees and only made the postseason as a wild card team, right now they have a 3.5 game lead over the Yankees in first place, and the Yankees are even trailing in the wild card race, even by a bigger deficit. But the Red Sox getting through these last 50 games or so. Curt Schilling is still in the bullpen. There's no Pedro. I mean, is that rotation going to be able to hold up as Anderson takes a ball outside?
I don't think the Boston team this year is as good as it was last year, but neither are the other teams that are chasing them. You know, I think there's been a drop off, you know, in New York. There's been a drop off in Boston. You know, Pedro's not there, Schilling's not there, so they can't be as good because they're losing to both of those guys. But I don't think the Yankees are as good a team as they were last year. We know Minnesota isn't as good a team. The only team that's better is Oakland.
But in Boston, as it is in the Bronx, just getting to the postseason isn't the point. I mean, for a lot of teams, that's a good year. You get to the postseason. But for them, the whole deal is they've got to win the whole thing.
Well, maybe Schilling will be able to go back into the starter's role, before the season's over, or if, when the playoffs start, if they get there. So, the jury's still out on who's going to be the best team starting in October.
Matt Merton stayed in to play left field after he pinch hit for Roberto Novoa. The new pitcher, Williamson, is hitting in the #1 spot of the order where Matt Lawton had been. Lawton is out of the game now. Marlon Anderson 0 for 3 in the game, and that's too low. In the Mets bullpen, Aaron Heilman, a right-hander, has started to warm up now. Padilla had been up for a while earlier. Zambrano has given the Mets 8 strong innings tonight, allowing 1 run and 5 hits. And Jose Offerman has come out on deck, so he would apparently be the pinch hitter for Zambrano. Medium deep right center, Collinsworth, and that is out #2. So 0 for 4 for Marlon Anderson tonight. 2 down, and now Offerman will pinch hit. Next week, by the way, Sunday Night Baseball will be in Chicago. We'll see the Cubs at Wrigley against their arch rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals. And what a win for the Cardinals today. And not just that they beat the Atlanta Braves to take that series 2 out of 3. Two ball clubs that appeared to be set up nicely to head into the postseason, especially the Cardinals. But the Cardinals have a gigantic lead. I mean, it seems to be a given that they're headed into the postseason, and yet they reacted as if they had won a huge game today when David Eckstein hit a grand slam to end it.
Oh, that's a pretty exciting way to end the ball game. When you come from behind in the bottom of the 9th inning and you end the game with a walk-off grand slam.
And this ball 1 to Offerman.
Actually, I wasn't even there, and I got pretty excited.
I got excited
watching on the highlights.
I was coming up on the elevator here at Shea, and I saw they had a monitor in there with ESPN, and I got goosebumps in an elevator. That didn't happen that often. 1-0 the count, and Offerman takes a strike. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. Next Sunday, the Cardinals and the Cubs from historic Wrigley Field, from the friendly confines. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific on ESPN and ESPN HD next Sunday night. A ball and a strike to Offerman. 2 down, runner at first. And that's a ball. 6-1. The Mets lead the Cubs. This game, if the Cubs lose it, that'll be 5 straight losses. Right at a time when they need to be having a streak of 5 straight wins.
Correct. Because, Houston's not going to fall back, because when you have Oswalt, Clemens, and Pettit, you're not going to fall back very far. And they're all pitching great right now.
It's still just one of the great puzzles of this season as to how the Astros, with those 3 guys anchoring that rotation, and Brad Lidge anchoring the bullpen as the closer could start a year 15-30.
Well, remember, they weren't scoring any runs, and Clemens was losing 2-1, 1-0. I mean, he was pitching the same. He just wasn't getting any wins.
Strike three. Offerman is gone. Last chance for the Cubs. The big hitters are coming. Derek Lee, Aramis Ramirez, and Nomar.
In the quiet town of Agrestic, where everyone knows everyone's business.
Did Judah ever say anything about our sex life?
The guys who still have sex with their wives usually don't want to jinx it.
Single mom Nancy Botwin has a big secret.
I was wondering
There's some really nice stuff in here, Doug. Kind of expensive, but worth every penny.
Newsweek.com raves the most talked about comedy in ages. Weeds. Special preview tonight at 11. Only on Showtime.
Sweet picture. It's a plasma.
Yeah, it's Adele. Hey, have a seat. Make yourself at home, okay?
That's a nice plasma.
The Dell Plasma TV. At this price, you can hug your own. Right now, order the award-winning 42-inch HD Dell Plasma TV for just $27.99. Plus, get free shipping. And right now, pay no interest until 2007 for well-qualified customers. Just call or go online now to get more out of now.
The BMW 5 Series with active steering. It handles so well, it's like riding on rails. All new BMWs have full maintenance, which covers oil changes to brakes for 4 years or 50,000 miles.
When it comes to accommodations, why would anyone settle for just 5 stars? Easy drinking Busch Light. Head for the mountains of Busch.
ESPN Fantasy Football. Play for free at ESPN.com/fantasyfootball.
Mets 6, Cubs 1. As we head to the 9th inning from Shea Stadium. And the Goodyear Skycam has been with us tonight as part of the coverage on Sunday Night Baseball from Shea Stadium. And we're always pleased to have it. It gives you a real unique look at the action. And hopefully you've got the high-def monitor to really get the full effect. There's Aaron Heilman, the new pitcher, and you might notice that he's got a new catcher with which to work. That's Ramon Castro on for Piazza. Derek Lee, the hitter, and that's a called strike. Lee 1 for 11 in this series. He had a home run Friday, his only hit of the series. And now the Mets have a chance to shut him down for the 2nd straight game. They held him to an 0 for 4 yesterday. Now, Peter Pasquarelli did some research, Joe, for us. The whole concept of Triple Crown in baseball, leading the league in batting average, homers, and RBIs, a chance that Lee has this year to do, which hasn't been done in the National League in 68 years. He fouls that one, 1-2 the count. Back in the early 1900s, really 1901, the first year of the American League. The American League was a new league. They were competing with the established National League, trying to generate interest. And they had a great hitter in that league named Napoleon Lajoie. And he was going to win the Triple Crown. So the American League kind of invented the Triple Crown as sort of a marketing device all the way back in 1901. And maybe that's why there have been more Triple Crowns in the American League over the years. Charging from third, David Wright. Nice. Or rather, David Wright gets him. Nice play. So Derek Lee 0 for 4, hitless in the last 2 games, and just entirely kept off the base pass the last 2 days, and 1 for 12 in the series. They didn't actually have RBIs as an official statistic in baseball until 1920. So, but the American League in 1901, they were keeping track anyway. Maybe not an official basis, but somebody was keeping track, and they declared Napoleon Lajoie the winner of the Triple Crown. Here's Aramis Ramirez. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. But we're talking about the Cubs going the other way right now. With a loss tonight, that'll be 5 straight losses. Jim Hendry, when this series was about to begin, he's the Cubs general manager. Jim Hendry commented and say, it's time to get going. We're running out of time. And time is getting ever shorter for the Cubs.
Well, the interesting part, if you get hot.
Ooh, that foul ball. They got decked by his own comrade out there.
Well, the interesting thing is we've seen this. Teams can get hot, win 6 or 7 games in a row, and you're right back where you want to be. So, I mean, they have a chance, but you can see right there that the last 2 ball games, they didn't have much of a chance to score runs, and that's the problem they have. These 2 guys are the ones that are carrying the entire team, and you need some more help. And that's why we say there are a lot of things have to happen well for the Cubs and for the Mets, even though, you know, their Mets are playing well this weekend. They still have to catch Houston, so you have to have more things happen well for you down the stretch than they've been going, because the Mets have pretty much been close to 500 most of the season. And now, of course, the Cubs are under 500.
In that wild card race, you've got Houston, and then Florida and Washington are virtually tied for second, and Philadelphia, and then the Mets, and then another team is in front of the Cubs, the Milwaukee Brewers. And with a loss tonight, the Brewers won today in Philadelphia. With a loss tonight, the Cubs will be a game and a half behind Milwaukee. There are the standings, and those would be the standings at the end of the night if the Mets hold this lead. And Aramis Ramirez chases one out of the strike zone, strike 3, and he's 0 for 3 tonight. 2 down. Coming up right after the ball game, Sports Center, Steve Levy and Scott Van Pelt. The Major League Baseball recap of the day. And Michael Vick versus steroids. And that's Sports Center's 50 States in 50 Days, continuing tonight from Indianapolis, the Brickyard 400.
Well, John, one positive thing for the Cubs tonight is that, you know, Nomar got a base hit, and he moved well on a double play. I mean, he looks like he is, you know, starting to, you know, fit back in, and obviously they definitely need another bat in this lineup.
But that, and Dusty made the comment before the game, that's where his timing and lack of it right now, because he's still in spring training mode. That's where it really shows up on changes of speed.
Exactly.
1-1. And he's got his second hit, and that's a clean single to left field.
I mean, I like what I've seen tonight, and that's, you know, because like I said, the first week, the adrenaline can carry you. You really can. And then you have to have your timing, you have to have your rhythm, you have to have everything going after that, because, I mean, you're just psyched to play every single day because you've been sitting around so long waiting to play. And you know, that's a pretty good swing right there. A lot of balance and a lot of bat control. So, again, I think the first week he'll be able to hit, but, you know, the rest of the game is where you have to wonder, but he's looked good in the field tonight.
Todd Hollingsworth 1 for 3. Cubs have only 6 hits in the game, and it's 0-1 to Hollingsworth. Well, next Sunday night at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, we'll perhaps be able to check in on Nomar's progress from this weekend to next weekend.
He hasn't had a ground ball for a double play, I mean, for a routine out assist, but he's assisted on a couple double plays.
Center field, there's Beltran. And the New York Mets have swept this series. So the Mets are just 3 out in the wild card as they sweep the Chicago Cubs, a team with which they were tied in that wild card race. 6-1, the Mets win it. And in the all Zambrano, it was Victor Zambrano who pitched beautifully, and Carlos Zambrano, the Cubs ace, who got an early exit tonight.
Well, he did not have his good control. He was up a little bit, and he got, you know, had some poor defense behind him. So all that adds up to a loss.
Sports Center next. Now for Joe Morgan, Sam Ryan, and our entire ESPN crew, John Miller from New York. Thanks for tuning in. Now, Sports.